Sleepy town settled for the night, where every lawn is tailored just right. And it's about time that the back porch light comes on. At that house down the street, at that house on Magnolia Street.
We ready?
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this. Hey, witch, hey.
Hey, witch, hey. How's it going?
It's going. I'm Kristina.
Are you flowing?
Showing, growing.
Growing.
I was thinking about our car ride in Jersey and us just like belt into the Tenacious D. It was just amazing. And the pizza.
What do I call that crossing guard?
Stacy? I don't know. Shannon? No, it wasn't Karen.
Carol. Watch out, Carol. Oh my God.
That's awesome. I miss you. I really do want to come see you if I can this autumn.
Well, if you do, please drive because airplanes are crashing right now.
I know. That's insane.
Fuck. What is this timeline?
Teleportation tubes.
Just use your leaf magic and then, put your essence in some rose petals and then
just astral project my ass over to you.
When they drop down here, then you'll materialize right in front of me, right before my eyes.
On the hottest day of the fall.
I hope not. At least I have AC now in my car. Avi fixed it.
Oh, good. Oh my God.
So next time I cart you around, we won't be sweating our deox off.
But that's what made it so memorable. I just made myself so comfortable on your living room floor.
Yeah. It took us an hour to, I was going to say defrost. We were not cold. We were very hot to
solidify.
Come back down to earth.
Yeah. We were puddles and then we froze ourselves.
Right. I miss that.
I miss that too. Let me let you continue. I was just thinking about that the other day. How fucking fun that was.
That was a good time.
And me trying to tell you how to get through Jersey when I don't live there.
That's right. I was like, I don't even know how I'm getting home right now. My phone is sweating out of my hand because I had no what do they call it? One of those holsters.
Phone holder?
Yeah, the phone holder. I didn't have one of those, so I had to hold it in one hand. And there's no AC, so it's just sliding out of my hand the whole ride.
Yeah.
Did I tell you Avi made jelly donut with cream focaccia last night?
He said he was thinking about it.
He did.
How is it?
It was good. It was like he made it with cream cheese and strawberry jam.
Oh, that sounds.
And he baked the focaccia and then he jabbed it with the what would you call it? Syringe. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
What recipe did he use? What did he make it up?
I don't know. I guess your typical, whatever the base recipe is to make focaccia, and then he just jabbed in the ingredients after it came out of the oven.
He's a bread guy.
Yeah, he loves his bread. I'm like, okay, I love the bread, but I don't know if I could eat this every freaking day.
Did he make a shit ton?
Well, yeah, I was like, you better bring some of this to work because I ain't eating all this.
And that's not freezing. Will it freeze?
I don't know if it's good out of the freezer. If maybe you heat it back up. If it gets crispy still, I'm not sure.
Oh, you don't look like you got punched in the face.
No,
so that's good.
No, I didn't punch him in the face because we weren't on the turnpike. So we're sitting on the couch. So I could have, been like, oh my God, this is amazing.
And then he laughed and I laughed.
Yeah, and then what did she say? And then
he punched me.
And then he punched me. He punched me real hard.
Bastard.
Oh my God. Okay. Let me open my notes here.
Okay. Welcome to Magnolia Street, your one and only musically inspired practical magic fandom podcast.
Yeah, every week we deep dive on the movie and the books, as well as treat your ears to our very own practical magic inspired original music. I wasn't even looking at my notes when I said that. It's ingrained in my brain.
Oh my God. So that was perfect.
Last week we brought you guys part 1 of this very in-depth color analysis. And this week we're going to get into more of that, and we're going to pick up after the night of the Midnight Margaritas, right?
That's right. I also feel like this has a fluid episode title because it's not just color analysis. We're going into all kinds of symbolisms that are just new revelations to us.
Right.
So I'm not sure what we're going to call it in the end, but yeah, the color analysis, depending on the lighting or the clothing or the symbolism of, this green thing versus that green thing versus the green in the grass, everything. Yeah, but we're going to pick up where we left off with the girls having the hangovers the morning after. So let's just do a little overview. The scene begins the morning after the previous night's events when Sally and Jillian wake up with their hangovers. Now, Sally's daughter Kylie gazes out the window. She notices a man standing under the roses, but only she can see him. Sally is asking her to go get something from the garden. Kylie says no, not while he's out there. And then that prompts Sally and Jillian to look out. They can't see anything, but they see that the roses have grown overnight. So under closer inspection, they run outside. They're kind of freaking out. They see Jimmy's boots poking out from under the roses. And then all of a sudden they begin to sink back into the ground. And we see the big, bright red roses all around on the ground. Sally proceeds to chop down these roses as Officer Gary Hallett arrives. He's looking for Jillian. He wants to talk about Jimmy, or is he? Is he just following that letter Sally sent? And Sally kind of panics, rushes up to the attic to say he has arrived. So let's talk about this morning. The morning light brings a warm yet subtly muted palette. It's almost as if it is the hangover haze, reflecting the illusion of like calm and safety after the storm of the previous night, that whirlwind, that vortex we talked about last week, as far as the blender, as far as the shot of the camera going up the spiral stairs, as far as like the spotlight that was on the girls at the very end, Jimmy's like power funneling in and pulling them in. So the kitchen, when they wake up, is bathed in yellows and oranges, creating this sense of domestic comfort. You can see that they're very comfortable together. Jillian's smoking inside. She doesn't even have her eyes open at this point.
Right.
However, then after Kylie sees, the roses and Jimmy's apparition outside, the girls go outside, we see these red roses against the sharp contrast of like a dark green grass, symbolizing the danger and the remnants of the previous night's dark events. So as this scene transitions outside, there's a slight shift towards cooler tones, especially when the camera focuses on the roses and the hidden boots of Jimmy. This introduces a chilling undercurrent to the scene, foreshadowing the danger that's about to emerge. Very harsh contrast here of the shadow and light, the highlights. Secrets are going to be revealed in the harsh light of day kind of thing. So let's talk about when Gary arrives. He approaches, we see him approach beneath a dark shadow cast by the trees near the arbor. He's walking down the path to Sally, but this shadow probably is unintentional, but I think it conveys a link between them, even before they're in the same shot as the camera, because she's kind of in the shadow of the roses and he's in the shadow of the trees. So the first impression or still moment we see of Gary, he's standing in front of this like lush foliage that grows beneath the breakfast nook window. He's walking up and then he just like stops, like, what the fuck is she doing? Very suspicious.
Yeah.
Don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
Right. So all that foliage is beneath the window in which Kylie was just looking out that she saw Jimmy through. He's surrounded by all this green, which can often symbolize like balance and stability, reinforcing his calm, grounding nature in contrast to the hurricane he's about to walk into. His blue shirt adds a touch of coolness and contrasts with the warm environment, symbolizing calmness and rationality. And blue often represents trust and honesty. Kristina talked about that in part 1 between his eyes and his shirt, giving that very trustworthy, honest symbolism. And this aligns with his role and his demeanor in this scene and throughout the whole movie, up until the end where he like lets them off the hook.
Yeah, and you know what I also kind of like the blue shirt might symbolize is like those blue tones that we see when Sally like she releases those rose petals, and even toward the end when she, releases the leaf, the sky in both of those scenes have a very heavenly blue tone to them. So that could be symbolizing her spell kind of like boomeranging back to her maybe.
Yeah, I could see that because we talked last time about like all the magic being done in blue tones. Anytime she's doing spell work, it's in blue tones, and it kind of is like he's the magic being pulled into her vortex. And the
fact that his blue shirt is the only blue that pops out in that shot, it's just like that's making the connection right there. Everything else in that scene is so earthy and green. Even his blazer that he has on over his shirt is like, it's brown.
It's like, corduroy or something.
Right. So like everything else is very earth toned, and then like boom, blue shirt. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you see
like
Aaron's photo I shared on our story? I was like, God damn, I have a type.
What's up, Garen?
Garen? I said, Aaron, all the Magnolia Street Coven is loving you right now. It was
God.
like stark. I walked out, I was like, Jesus, because we just
is-
talked about the color thing the day before.
That is so
It's
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
So yes, this also visually anchors him as the focal point amid the organic green tones. His brown jacket blends slightly with the golden light, representing a grounding, approachable personality, and the shades reinforce warmth, reliability, harmonizing with natural elements around him. And then we have that white picket fence, and the house accents symbolize purity and safety, reinforcing the Owens house as a sanctuary. It stands out in stark contrast against this green foliage, emphasizing the structured and protective energy of the home. So they have their little discussion, and then Sally runs inside to talk to her sister. So in the attic, we have the scene in which she informs her sister that Gary has arrived. The shadows in the attic scene where Sally informs Jillian of Gary's arrival are more pronounced. They're inside this dark. There's no lights on except from the outside windows, casting a literal and figurative shadow over their actions. The dim lighting here contrasts with the bright outdoor light, symbolizing the dark secrets they're hiding. They have the muted browns and the grays of the wood paneling, creating earthy, grounding backdrop, and this reinforces the attic as a space rooted in tradition. All of their knickknacks are up here. As well as Jillian's shit that's just strewn everywhere. Yeah. Yet this is where magic and family bonds intertwine. Like the girls probably stayed up there when they were little, and now Sally's girls probably stay up there. Jillian's staying up there. And this is like their in-between little space, I guess you could say, between like the end of the movie with the height of their magic jumping off the roof and their drama that's going on in the lower half of the house. That attic is kind of in the in-between place because that's where Jillian gets possessed. The place.
Yeah. Also, do you think that because this scene specifically that we're talking about right now, where Sally goes up there and Jillian's kind of meditating and she's in her zen, she wants nothing, she don't really care, like, you know, what that officer is there to do. She's just like, all right, we're gonna tell him this, and you know, we're just gonna act like everything's fine, everything's cool. Like, so maybe the attic in essence symbolization for maybe they think they're above the law. Ooh. Because Gary's waiting downstairs for them to come down to question them, but like they're all high and mighty up in the attic, kind of trying to come up with this like plan to throw him off the tracks, throw him off the scent of a crime, like, you know. That. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And then you're going to talk about this next, where Sally chooses to stand in relation to Gary being in the greenhouse. She's kind of always above him in a way, but we'll get there. I love that idea though, that they're coming up with this scheme, you know, he's not a problem. We're just going to get him to go away.
Yeah.
One or two more things about this attic. There's that natural light streaming in through the central window. And so when we get the shot, Jillian sitting on the floor, Sally standing up, and then there's kind of a window behind them, between them. And this can add that sense of clarity and honesty to the scene, as if illuminating those hidden truths or moments of vulnerability. So in this space, Sally realizes she cannot lie to him. And maybe being surrounded by that groundedness, that earthiness, that symbolizes Gary. Gary is keeping her from floating away. So, you know, in Jillian's seated position and Sally's upright stance visually contrast their personalities. Whereas Jillian is more internalized and chaotic, Sally is outwardly strong and steadfast here.
Okay, so this next scene, we're going to talk about the greenhouse, right? Where Gary does his kind of like initial questioning. Because Jillian, mind you, is like, all right, Sally, you go downstairs and distract him. I'm going to go put on my sluttiest dress. And then I'm gonna dissuade him from, you know, all of the fishy stuff going on. I'm just gonna pull the wool over his eyes with my glamour, right?
The same shit she pulled with the Bone Tree Day.
Yeah, exactly.
And got changed.
That's and she's wearing the same color as she does in the Phone Tree Day scene. Is this a little bit of her snake persona, her green outfit? Yeah, so Gary Hallett is exploring the Owens greenhouse. Sally watches him warily, and then the three characters, Sally, Jillian, and Gary, have a tense conversation in the kitchen. The scene ends with a shift to nighttime as Jillian is unable to sleep peacefully, and she's haunted by the presence of Jimmy. She's like, Jimmy's given her these night terrors. Let's talk about the greenhouse. So the colors and the lighting in this scene, they're very soft and natural, and it kind of like fills the aerial shot of Gary inside that greenhouse. Earthly and green are the colors in this scene, symbolizing growth and life. We see a lot of potted plants hanging around, yet the random white petals on the ground bring an aspect of decomposition and demise, indicating unnatural events that have happened. This suggests that even in life around them, some things are deeply wrong, and the overhead shot in the greenhouse creates a sense of detachment and surveillance. But I also see the rose petals on the ground as Sally's spell came back to her, and this is her spell right before her live and in the flesh, because we don't see these rose petals again since she released them out into the ether when she was a child, right? We do see the red rose petals when they're cutting down the roses in the arbor that represent Jimmy, but these pure white rose petals symbolized by the Almas Vidita spell, we don't see those again since her love spell in the beginning. The fact that we see these petals strewn about, who knows, maybe they're even left over from that spell she did as a child, and maybe the magic has kept them lively and fresh for, I don't know, however many freaking years. But I don't know, what do you think about the rose petals on the ground?
This shot is so beautiful. I love that thought, because the other time we see Gary when he's young, he's getting surrounded by her spell, by those roses.
Yeah.
But the other thought I have about this scene is like, I know that there's some white petals, white flowers on, one of the planters. How did they just get dispersed like that? Because there's nothing on the ceiling, nothing on the roof. It's like something came in and the wind blew and stirred everything up,
That's what I'm saying. I feel like maybe those weren't there before Gary rolled into town. I don't know. Like, maybe it's just a symbol of her spell coming back again. Not only his blue shirt, but these rose petals as well. It's just like, okay, something's up here. Who is this guy? Why is he really here?
The law blew into town. Right.
And I love that Tiffany, is that a Tiffany lamp above
so
the center table?
Mm-hmm.
That is so pretty. Yeah. So what is this canted tilt? Do you want to tell us about this Dutch angle?
Sure. So I noticed that not a lot of shots in this movie are this way. And I didn't know it had a specific name until I looked this up, but apparently it's called a Dutch angle or a canted tilt. And it raises beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's tension that exists within the frame, and it gives that unmistakable sense of dynamism.
Yeah, so specifically, what shot in Practical Magic has this Dutch angle?
The shot in which we get the greenhouse overhead, they could have, as a square room, shot it directly overhead, but they tilt it, and then I don't know how to explain it. You're like looking at it, it's not just tilted sideways, it's tilted like up and down as well. Mm-hmm. It's not a perfectly symmetrical shot.
Right.
And I guess there's a bunch of other movies that do this.
Some of these other movies, I see a Bruce Willis movie, a Tom Cruise movie. I don't know what movies these are though.
The Bruce Willis one I think is like called 13 Monkeys or something like that.
Okay.
And then the Jaws does it a lot, where they do like the close up of the guy, like the main dude.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible. And anytime you see an actor in a frame and he's shot like tilted, angled.
Mm. It doesn't always have to be from the top though?
No, I don't think so. I'm sure they do this in like Fight Club. That's another one where it's like, something's a little off.
Skewed. It makes you feel kind of uneasy, little tension.
Yeah.
All right. So the Dutch angle, from a tilted viewpoint, it upsets the balance and the instability that the picture affects upon the viewer, considering a dramatic moment in the story of things. It does not at all signify an ordinary moment or an ordinary setting. There are rules in the magic-ridden world, and its tilt suggests a manifestation of how magic realistically twists the course of events whenever it involves will, which that says a lot about Sally's spell and how it brought Gary to her. I think the spell just kind of like put things in motion.
I think also the fact that whether he did or not, or he's just saying it to add effect, it was like, I wished for you too. Maybe that wish wasn't active until he also reached out for her. It was consensual.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. The canted angle that comes with an overhead shot also forms an interesting composition concerning an action that would suggest the magical energy somewhere in the framework. Such an angle positions the viewer as though firm above static magic, even as one could feel swirling magic and chaos that may not be visible to the characters themselves.
I feel like this is more talking about the practical magic shot above the greenhouse.
Its tilt makes diagonal lines across which the eye of the observer moves from the scattering of petals to the alignment of objects. This underlines both the terms of movement and flow in the space, as though magic itself lived again and moved. And then the tilt combined with petals on the ground throws up a sort of spiral shape to keep up with that cycle and that energy transformation that occurs on either the physical or supernatural level.
Cool.
So Sally, let's talk about Sally watching Gary, right? Because Gary's kind of in the greenhouse poking around, and Sally kind of like does the whole like peek out of the folding door, right? She's kind of like peeping what he's doing. So in her observation of Gary, the light gives those colors a warmer feel and soft, right? Colder light from outside is mixed with touches of light browns and beiges. So one notable feature is the brambles that kind of casts upon the glass, and we see the thorns kind of through the glass, right? Kind of like protecting her. But she is very cautious in her approaching of him in this situation. It is clear visually that these are metaphors for danger breaking into the Owens' lives. The boundaries are, aside from the story itself, physical indicators of Sally's barriers that she has built to protect herself from anything outside her dear family and to keep pain and past trauma at bay. Whether it's a criminal, Jimmy, being on her property, or if it's the law trying to, like, you know, haul her and her sister's ass to jail because they fucked up.
Yeah, she seems prickly. She's like very like not sure of him in the scene.
Yeah, and the way that she's kind of like maneuvering past all of his questions is very telling. Like, she's very guarded. So let's talk about the kitchen interrogation. So Jillian's portrayal as a, quote, seductress runs juxtaposed to Gary's moral and grounding canvas. Her flirtations is a desperate, almost performative attempt to maintain control in a situation where she feels vulnerable. The green dress, seductive and serpentine, right? Before we called her a snake. I'm a snake. It amplifies her allure, but also underscores her detachment from authenticity, further isolating her when Gary remains unmoved. Like, Gary's just totally like,
Have my hand back, please.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
No touching.
Yeah. So let's talk about that spicy green dress. So duality. What does the duality mean? So this symbolizes growth, renewal, and life, but also conveys envy, jealousy, deceit. The various angles of the values of green evolve her character during her seduction of Gary. Under the facade of beauty and appeal, this further doubts her ulterior motives and inner turmoil. This duality could reflect her overall conflict as a naturally free-spirited woman, frequently masking behind manipulation and charm. And it's true, like, she's become almost masterful at this tactic, right?
Almost.
She just,
but we see her like have a moment of shit. Maybe I'm losing my touch because they
right. Like, he doesn't buy it. He's just like, let me get my hand back, please. And she's like, oh, it's worked before.
Yeah. And like, that's his party trick, right, Sal? Girl, stop. Yeah.
And snake imagery as well, right? The green color of the dress emphasizes some of the, quote, snake-like traits of Jillian, closely associated with deception and temptation harbored by mythology and folklore around the character of the serpent. And also think of Adam and Eve here. The green and design of the dress thus mirror her very reptilian movements in the form of a creeping predator. In that vein, it is the shot very similarly to the scene later on where Jimmy's ghost has emerged and is circling Gary in the attic.
Right, because when she comes down those stairs, she is in no rush. She kind of goes around the table and then she takes a seat on the table. And that reminded me of how Jimmy's moving up in the attic around Gary. So very interesting.
Do you think she learned a lot of those snake-like tactics from Jimmy?
Oh yeah.
And that also makes sense because remember what we said, she didn't have that snake tattoo in the pool scene. It wasn't until after she had already become involved with Jimmy that she got that tattoo. And who knows, maybe he talked her into getting that tattoo, or maybe she felt somewhat glamored and got that tattoo herself because of him, because of the control that he had over her mind, whether it was conscious or subconscious.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Yeah. He branded her.
Exactly.
Way before he had to brand her.
Right. He mentally branded her before that whole car branding scene.
We've all been there.
I know, right? Green can evoke feelings of attraction and tranquility, making it a perfect choice for someone attempting seduction. Yet, and that's like weird because mostly when we think of seduction, we think of like reds and passion and like, you know. But this says yet darker shades of green, as seen in her dress, can imply possessiveness or deceit, emphasizing the futility and falseness of her flirtation.
If we're thinking though, with Jillian's color palette, Jillian's not going to wear a red dress.
Right.
She's going to contrast her red hair with green or jewel colors, right? So I can see where they're saying that, you know, a seduction here with green works for her.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think if she were to wear a red dress, it would just, plus her red hair, it would throw off the balance, I think. I think the green, the earthy of the green and the redness of her hair kind of balance each other out.
Yeah, yeah.
So the dress's velvet-like texture and deep green tone visually liken Jillian to a serpent, smooth, seductive, yet inherently dangerous. Her attempts to captivate Gary mimic a snake's mesmerizing dance before striking its prey. However, Gary remains steadfast, immune to her charms because he is he's such a grounding energy.
He is.
You know?
Okay, so March 8th would make him what?
That's not a Capricorn, right? Is that an Aries?
No, what's before Aries? Pisces.
Pisces.
He's a Pisces. Okay.
He's
All
a
right.
Pisces.
Interesting.
Okay. Well, the actor, right?
The actor, yeah.
The actor.
We don't know what Gary's birthday would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what would Gary be? We did this already in his
I think
episode,
we did
didn't
do
we?
this already. I do think he's got to be some kind of earth
I think he'd
sign.
be a Capricorn.
Yeah. I don't see him being a Virgo. I don't think he's that organized. I think he's very, I don't think he's very detail oriented.
He's not a Taurus.
What's the difference between a Taurus and a Capricorn earth energy?
Caitlin's a Taurus. Tauruses like their comforts, their home things. They like quality. They like being surrounded sometimes by luxury.
That's my mother.
They love good food. Is she a
Taurus.
Taurus? Yeah. Okay, there you go.
She's a May Taurus.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a difference between a May Taurus and what's it, April? Is the end of April or is it?
Yeah, end of April into May. Yeah. I don't know. Caitlin's a May Taurus also.
The next one is Cancer?
Gemini,
yes. I skipped right over you. What the fuck?
I'm used to it. It's fine.
All right. So, so in many cultures, green represents fertility and sensuality, tying to Jillian's overt sexuality and flirtatious demeanor in this scene. However, her attempts fail because Gary is not swayed by superficial charm, but is driven by honesty and integrity. And that makes so much sense that why he goes for Sally, not that Sally is being honest with him, but eventually she is, right? And I think that he finds that commendable. And maybe even that's why he ends up wanting to let her go, not only because of the spell, but because like she came to him and wanted to tell him the truth, and he respected that, I think.
I will say that I think he knew her honesty before he even met her, just in relation to what he was reading in her letter. Her heart was there, you know?
I think you're right. Okay, so let's talk about the Phoebe Stone scene at the table. As far as the perspective and framing goes here, so this shot is symmetrical. Gary's at the center of the frame, and he's flanked by Sally on the left and Jillian on the right. And this framing suggests his pivotal role as the truth teller, forcing the sisters to confront the reality of their situation. They literally have to look directly at each other sitting across the table. The symmetry also creates a feeling of structure and order, which contrasts with the emotional chaos of the conversation. Kind of see them looking at each other like, oh shit. Like when he tells them about the brand marks and like they know what the deal was with the brand mark, right?
Yeah, it was so close to being them.
Yeah, like the looks on their face were almost like, oh shit, we fucked up, but also, oh shit, we got out alive. How the fuck? It's like this poor girl, Phoebe Stone, was not that lucky. So let's talk about the small rectangular windows. The rectangular kitchen windows in the background resemble watchful eyes, subtly reinforcing the idea of Gary, quote, seeing through the sister's lies. I like that. This imagery also aligns with the theme of revelation and exposure, as the windows seem to echo in his investigative role. The windows are positioned symmetrically in the background, further adding to the balance of the shot. Their place behind Gary visually connects him with the concept of vision and insight, as if he is the one shedding light on the sisters' quote hidden secrets, even though like he really doesn't know shit right now. Like they're not letting up anything that might connect them to this case yet anyway. I think he is shedding some light on like what could have really went down if they didn't get out of that situation.
So scary.
Very scary. So the ceiling lights. The ceiling lights were not visible or turned on in previous shots, but they appear prominently here, and they cast a warm light on the scene. Their illumination could symbolize a, quote, light bulb moment, the sisters' growing realization of Jimmy's true nature, and the lights also help highlight the papers and photos Gary spreads out, focusing attention on the evidence. So the fruit bowl in the center may symbolize temptation and consequence, harking back to the biblical theme of knowledge and original sin. The sisters are metaphorically being confronted with the consequence of their actions, much like Eve in the Garden of Eden. And the fruit, are those pears or apples? I can't see that.
I think they're pears. Pears are everywhere in this house.
Yeah.
The ones in the interrogation when they're at the table are yellow. And then we have green pears in Sally's shop. They've been elsewhere in this whole movie as well. But I was just noticing it now. I was like, what the fuck is up with these pears?
They're like more brown. They're not too green in this scene.
They're like golden.
Yeah. Almost as if like if they were to symbolize, I don't know, not temptation, but like I guess the consequence of the actions. They're not starkly green. They're kind of like dull, like muddied a little bit.
I mean, I think they're definitely gold. They're like yellow pears.
Yeah.
I don't know the different varieties at all, but the difference between them here, pears here, and then pears in the upcoming scenes you're going to tell us about, very different.
Okay.
There's probably even pears where, like when Antonia's sitting at the little breakfast table eating her shit, you know?
Yeah.
Sally is so cut up in this, looking at her arms.
Oh my God, yeah. She didn't really get like cut up doing that scene, right? Those were fake thorns. Were those fake thorns that she was cutting down?
We'll never know until we talk to her.
Right. Yeah, well, hopefully one of these days. Going to the next scene, we're going to talk about Sally's shop when Dwight comes in he has a little bone to pick with her, right?
Bone.
I'm looking at the photo here, and yes, there are pears on the counter at her shop. These are stark green, very bright green pears. They almost like, if you're not looking closely at what they are, you could confuse them for like the green apples that Michael was carrying in his scenes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they are actually pears, and much greener than the pears in the last scene, which are, like what we said, like more of a golden brown. The pears symbolize many things, including fertility, prosperity, immortality. They have been a symbol in many cultures and civilizations for thousands of years. So as far as fertility, in Korean legend, pears are said to give women fertility, wisdom, and health. In Christian art, pears are often depicted with the Madonna and Christ child, symbolizing love and divine fertility. And the pear shape has been used to represent the female form in art for centuries. Yeah, it's like very curvaceous, like a woman figure, right? So as far as prosperity, in ancient China, pears were a symbol of wealth and success. In classical history, pears were a sign of abundance and were called, quote, a gift from the gods. They also symbolized immortality. In ancient China, pears were a symbol of immortality because pear trees live for a very long time. Pears are often given as a gift at family shrines to celebrate the lives of loved ones. And then there are a few other meanings. In some Christian contexts, the pear symbolizes the Virgin and the Child. In their eyes, we're watching God. Oh, is this a song? In Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. The pear tree symbolizes inner peace. That might be a book. I'm not sure what that is. Zora Neale Hurston is the author, maybe songwriter. I don't know what that is. And then lastly, in Greek and Roman civilizations, pears were offered to goddesses associated with wealth or femininity. As far as color schemes go, her shop is very, very muted colors, very beige. The pops of color are literally those green pears and a few plants we see around the shop, and also Sally herself, because she's wearing green foliage, that green cardigan.
Beautiful, very pretty.
Yeah.
And we did a whole episode on her dress, which has Lily of the Valley on it. And I think green a lot of times symbolizes health. All the health food stores, their logos always have something green involved. And that's why I think like that is her color. Very, very Virgo and very healing. You know, she provides, I'm thinking of Sudbury when she's working at a pharmacy, just doling out her remedies. And, you know, she talks about like she wanted to make the edible, very Jessica Simpson, the edible shaving cream.
Yeah.
And we know she provides stimulating growth for Dwight. But what else is she making in here? You know,
Right.
lotions, soaps, shampoos, but what else? You know?
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah. Did you notice in this shot that we're looking at right here when she's at the counter talking to Dwight, behind her, there is a little pear sitting right beside that
There
jar.
is.
It's cute. I'm wondering in Sally's mind what these pears would have symbolized. Like, did they
Right.
mean something to her? And if this shop was done in tribute to Michael because they were supposed to open the shop together, right? I'm surprised why she would not have used the green apples to like symbolize Michael.
Do pears have a longer shelf life?
I don't
I don't know.
know.
Maybe they don't get as like gross after a day. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Maybe
But
you think, huh?
yeah, but I'm just like curious. Like even the set designers of the film, I'm curious as to why they wouldn't have chosen the apples instead of the pears since apples was Michael's thing and she was supposed to do the shop with Michael when he was alive.
I am noticing that the bag that Dwight is holding has a V on it, like her stationery. If you
Oh
zoom in,
yeah.
it has her verbena V.
Right. Yeah. And verbena, I don't remember what the herbal significance or
We haven't
symbolism.
done one for verbena yet.
Okay, let's do that soon.
Okay.
Let's put
Yeah.
that on the list.
Mhm.
So we're gonna move on to this next scene when Jillian is having these night terrors from Jimmy. So she's in the attic and we see her kind of tossing and turning in the bed. The images in this scene shift to a deep coal blue, and this dominates the scene as Jillian sleeps kind of in an uneasily manner. This color symbolizes the intrusion of supernatural forces and her lingering guilt and fear. The stark contrast between the warm tones of the kitchen and the cold blue night heightens a sense of dread and the feeling of being trapped by their circumstances. This cold blue light that envelops Jillian at night represents the coldness of death and the supernatural, as well as the suffocating nature of her guilt and the fear that Jimmy's spirit still haunts her. And it also has an odd reaction to Jillian's red hair. What does that mean?
I thought it made it look very strange. She's just like washed in blue, and like as red and blue in primary colors, you're going to get like purpley, but it's so dark here. You know,
Yeah.
it makes her look very like sickly. And like we talked about, any magical stirrings, workings happen in this blue tone. And that makes sense for her to wake up sensing Jimmy.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is the juxtaposition between her in the blue light and Sally in the blue light. Like when we see Sally in the blue light, it's more of like a positive, reaffirming thing about her magic. But Jillian in the blue light, it's more kind of like this darker energy.
She's so shadowed, like
Yeah.
the shadow in her eyes making them black. It's very harsh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Next, I'm guessing the next day, at some point, Sally has invited Gary over for breakfast. I didn't go too deep there because that scene shifts so fast. So I wanted to pick up where we see Jillian making the banishing syrup. Gary shows up. Then we go into Sally and Gary's little conversation in the greenhouse. So just that section. Specifically, I want to talk about the banishing syrup, and I want you to go watch Spirited Away. God damn it.
I've seen it before. I saw it ages ago. I really need to
Okay.
rewatch it.
Jillian's glasses specifically remind me of a Spirited Away character I want to talk about in a second. Jillian and Kylie in the scene are busy making their banishing syrup. We had a whole Nigella episode. Go check that out. And in the scene, Jillian has those iconic small round lens sunglasses in this already dark pantry. And she always reminds me here of another character from a Studio Ghibli film called Spirited Away. And the character's name was Kamaji. We'll talk about it in a second. But first, the glasses. So there are a few different metaphors here or meanings behind her wearing these glasses. Jillian's sunglasses in this scene are rich in metaphor and symbolism. So let's break down the potential meanings and how they contribute to her character in the narrative. We have the avoidance of truth. The sunglasses symbolize Jillian's reluctance to confront reality. By covering her eyes, she metaphorically blinds herself, avoiding the deeper truths about love, consequences, and her own vulnerability. Her line about losing balance in love ties into this. She knows what it means to lose control, yet she is reluctant to fully face the truth. Secondly, she's hiding herself. The sunglasses act as a barrier, hiding her emotions and true self. Jillian's character often uses charm and confidence as a mask, and the sunglasses extend this theme visually. Her decision in wearing them around Gary or even her niece might suggest her need to protect herself from being truly seen or understood. Then there's this distortion of perspective. The idea of like the rose tinted glasses fits really well here because Jillian's life has been one of thrill seeking and avoidance of pain. She runs, right? She doesn't handle pain and conflict very well. She gets out of it easily, suggesting a skewed perspective on love and relationships. The sunglasses allude to her filtering the world through her personal biases, choosing to see what she wants to see and ignoring the rest. So in relation to Kylie's question, she talks about she shows her aunt the little spell book Sally had when she was a kid. And she was like, hey, was this talking about daddy? And that whole conversation goes down. When Kylie expresses her excitement for love, she's like, I can't wait to fall in love, which was exactly what Jillian said when she was younger. Jillian's response is delivered after she lowers her glasses, shifting her from her usual carefree demeanor to one of caution and wisdom. It's as though she is reminding Kylie of the balance between joy and the danger of love based on her own turbulent experiences. The act of removing the glasses, she doesn't totally take them off, she just moves them down her nose, emphasizes the sincerity and gravity of her words. And lastly, the connection to vulnerability. The movement of her lowering the glasses and speaking directly to Kylie is significant. By removing this, quote, barrier, she opens herself up, showing her vulnerability and sharing an important lesson. It demonstrates a rare moment of clarity when Jillian directly confronts the dangers of love, something she usually avoids discussing or feeling.
All right, so yeah, Jillian's glasses, I don't know if you ever watched the show. This character, General Abbott from the comic book turned Netflix original Sweet Tooth, it also kind of reminds me of, he's got like those round red lensed glasses.
Yeah.
He's kind of a creepy character. Yeah.
I remember you really liked that show though.
Oh, it's very cute. It's cute, but it's good. It's very upsetting.
Oh.
Because, they're trying to take out an entire population of, beings, and it's very sad, but
is he a bad guy?
Yeah.
Okay. He looks like a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. And then also, do you remember the sheriff from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, when we see the fire in his like rimmed glasses like that?
Yes.
Reminds me of
I
that.
have a pair of mirrored round glasses when I had my hair real short. I don't know what happened to them. They're cool as shit.
They're cool.
They're very cool.
But I feel like they're always worn by villains in movies,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what about them gives them that villainous aura.
Are they saying that Jillian here already has Jimmy in her and she's like already has her little villain essence going?
Because he had aviator glasses, right? He didn't have circle glasses, right?
Right.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. I think there's another one like a Sonic the Hedgehog or Mario or something to do with video games. There's also another villain who has glasses like this. So I wanted to talk about the parallels between Jillian from Practical Magic and Kamaji from Spirited Away.
Okay.
Through their shared use of these glasses, they also have kind of like a spider-like quality. We talked about the snakes, but until like I was like trying to pin them together, I was like, oh, absolutely. She has these kind of qualities as well.
Right.
So also their roles in their respective apothecary style setting reveals fascinating symbolic and thematic overlaps. So Kamaji, also known in this movie as Boiler Geezer, he's an elderly man with 6 long arms and he operates the boiling room in the bathhouse in this movie. He appears as like a spider. He has all these arms that do different things that can be different lengths in Spirited Away, directed by Hayao Miyazaki of Studio Ghibli. His appearance appears to be based on that of a spider, as evident by his, this says 8 limbs, and unique facial features. His mustache seems to represent like the mandibles of a spider, and his goggles represent a spider's dark eyes. Kamaji's work involves the preparation of herbs and magical ingredients for the bathhouse, a space that cleanses and restores spirits. While less manipulative than Jillian, his work is rooted in transformation, using ancient knowledge to create balance.
So he's not a villain in Spirited Away?
No, he actually is a very much Jillian character. He helps the main one, a young protagonist. We can call Kylie a protagonist. Learn along the way. He helps her along the way.
Okay.
And so Jillian also can represent a spider in her emotional manipulation and seductive tactics here, using her charm and potions to control outcomes, ensnaring others in her web of intentions. In the pantry, Jillian brews the banishing syrup, a potion tied to her intent to manipulate. Magic can heal, but it can also harm. Her concoction of the banishing syrup is calculated and manipulative, similar to how a spider lures prey into its web. She ensnares Gary in a trap of her own making, attempting to control the outcome of the situation. Her sly, seductive nature mirrors the cunning of a spider, which weaves intricate traps with precision. Kamaji's character, I kind of mentioned before, as well as Jillian's character, evolves from aloof, distant figures to supportive and compassionate ones. Kamaji helps Chihiro navigate her journey, very similar to what Jillian does for her nieces and for herself in an extent, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
I thought I was like, oh,
yeah, I wouldn't even have made
on my back.
I wouldn't have even made that connection. I can't tell you, well, the last time I saw Spirited Away was probably 2009. I remember watching it when I was out in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I remember loving it. I thought it was adorable, but
Mm-hmm.
I definitely am due for a refresh watch of it.
It was just interesting because they both wear the glasses and she's wearing them in the apothecary where his thing is like pulling herbs, pulling this, going to the cabinet, you know, it was very similar.
I like that how you made that connection. When was Spirited Away released? Was it released around this? Was it released? It was released after Practical Magic, right?
That is a good, let me click on this. Maybe it'll tell me.
I'm wondering if that was a conscious connection on, the writer's part.
It released in Japan, July 20th, 2001.
Okay, so after
Not too far after. This was like 98.
Yeah.
I wanted to also talk about when Gary arrives and then the greenhouse discussion between Sally and Gary. So when Gary shows up at the front door, the sunlight flooding the scene as Antonia greets Gary emphasizes her childlike openness. The light contrasts with the shadow Gary's body casts in the doorframe, hinting at the potential threat of disruption his investigation brings. Gary is framed centrally in the door. He is doing the lean. He knows he's cool, you know? But he's framed within the door, creating a sense of symmetry that reinforces his position as an outsider. The porch's shadows encroaching on the light highlight the tension between his rational world and the Owen's secretive magical life. Positioned at the top of the stairs, then we see Sally. She is visually elevated, symbolizing her authority and protective nature over her family. However, the soft, natural light on her face hints at vulnerability, suggesting her internal struggle to navigate truth and protection. The stairs visually represent the precarious balance Sally must maintain, guarding her family secrets, deciding whether to trust Gary.
He's like, you like my lean? Wait till you see my pancakes.
Is that a gun in your pocket? You just happy to see me?
Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till I start flipping them jacks. All right. My only question was, the greenhouse happens twice between Sally and Gary?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Remember when he picks up and he's like looking at the bottle and she's like, belladonna. Sometimes we use it to put it, in our tea to relax, calm our nerves. Yeah, 2 different times.
Okay. All right. Yep. I don't know why I don't know if I consciously realized that before.
Because he's kind of asking her questions and like point blank, he's like, did you or your sister kill James Angelo? And she gives him the answer, but not the answer.
Yeah.
And she's standing on the stairs.
Time, right? Mm-hmm. The second greenhouse meeting? Okay.
Yeah. So this greenhouse, when they're talking in there, he's doing his like he's still like going through their stuff. She's watching him yet again. She kind of peeks around the corner, and this clear greenhouse symbolizes the fragile nature of the truth in this conversation. While the setting suggests openness, the overgrown vines and shadows hint at the danger of exposing too much. And the subtle shadows that are creeping through the glass create a visual metaphor for the external forces like Gary's investigation and the internal conflict, Sally's protective instincts, closing in on the Owens family. And again, we have those brambles or the thorny shoots, not sure what they are, making another appearance here. The last time Gary was poking around in here, Sally was almost hiding behind the window pane that leads in, from the kitchen, and those thorny vines were in front of her. This time she's standing in front of the vines, and this gives me the feeling of Mama Bear. She will do anything to protect her family.
Right. I think that's interesting. I don't think I've ever realized that before. Now that like the first time she's behind the vines, this time she's in front of the vines. But it's interesting. Like she is feeling protective, but she's also feeling compelled to tell him the truth. But she also trusts that she can. Like she does have fear that he's going to throw her ass in jail, but for some reason she feels like it's okay to tell him the truth,
Agreed.
So let's talk about the pancakes.
Okay.
and the true love revelation. This scene is bathed in soft amber and golden tones, emphasizing the warmth and intimacy of family life. These hues highlight the domestic magic of the moment, blending the mundane task of making pancakes with the enchantment of their shared lives. The kitchen's earthy colors, beige tiles, warm wood, and copper pots create a sense of coziness while grounding the magical undertone of the interaction. The camera subtly isolates Antonia as she observes her mother and Gary humming the same tune. This close-up emphasizes her growing realization and curiosity about the connection between the two. So let's note the pink roses on the table as Sally's gathering the plates, as well as Magpie, the cat, on the white tablecloth. We talked about Magpie in our episode 94 about black cats, but in this context, he almost looks like a, quote, fly in the ointment, if
you never heard that saying?
No.
Or a fly in the cream. It's like just something like done fucked up the situation. Like it was a beautiful situation and then there was this like little nasty.
Okay, all right, yeah, so that makes sense. Yes, it's an idiomatic expression for a drawback, especially one that was not first apparent. For example, the foreshadowing of the frog burping up the ring in the next scene. So that situation was the fly in the ointment, right? The whole scene was very idyllic. Sally was playing the part of a wife again, like even though like they really hadn't really had a romantic exchange yet at this point.
They were playing house, yeah.
But yeah, like she, was serving up those pancakes, and I guess Kylie and Antonia maybe saw him as like a father figure because they hadn't had that, in a few years since their father Michael passed away. So the whole thing seemed very idyllic until that frog burped up that ring.
Exactly.
And then it kind of shattered the illusion. Gary's like, oh shit, get yourselves a damn lawyer before we, this goes any further.
I feel like the girls thought they were going to get away with it at that point. They do get away with it. This like perfect little quaint breakfast in the shade of a tree in the springtime, like you're saying, very quaint, cozy. I feel like they were thinking we're going to have this breakfast and then he's going to go away because Jillian had done the syrup until the girls, I don't think it was the girls. I don't think that was the catalyst of, them throwing the syrup into the ocean that they were like, shit, we're not going to get away with this. It was the frog, 100%.
Yeah. I think Sally was kind of trying to pass it off like, oh, they're just little girls. I guess they didn't want to eat that. Like, who would have put two and two together that, something was in that syrup to either send Gary away or maybe even hurt him or kill him?
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't the first time Jillian's poisoned somebody. Let's just throw that out there.
Yeah, that's true.
So the likely source of the fly in the ointment idiom is the biblical book of Ecclesiastes, where it says, dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth the stinking savor. And that's chapter 10, verse 1. There's a little bit more here about the pink roses. So light pink roses symbolize grace, gentleness, joy, and admiration. They can also represent sweetness, innocence, and youth. They also can be given to express gratitude for someone's help or efforts. They can be given to celebrate the start of a new relationship or friendship. And they can be given to someone to let them know that you care. And in all instances, Sally used these pink roses in her Amas Veritas love spell. And she was a child when she did the spell. So that speaks all the more to her innocence and her just wanting to be loved for who she is and setting that intention out into the universe. And it did come back in the form of this man who, now these petals are all over the greenhouse floor. Where do they come from?
Yeah,
exactly. The bright outdoor atmosphere. The breakfast scene is drenched in natural sunlight with soft greens from the surrounding yard and the whites from the table setting. This bright and airy color palette represents clarity, joy, and revelation. The vibrant tones of flowers and foliage emphasize growth and the flourishing of love with the family. So the wide shots of the breakfast table capture the group's closeness, with Sally and Gary sitting among the girls as a unified family. The framing places Antonia and Kylie where they are seated. They are in positions of agency, highlighting their role in the coming act. The close-ups of the girls' faces capture their growing realization, excitement, and determination, emphasizing their role as catalysts in the story, right? They realize, they're putting all the pieces together. They realize that, oh my God, he's got a star badge. It's from Mom's spell. His favorite shape is a star. He can ride a pony backwards. He can flip pancakes. Like, they're putting all the pieces together even before Sally is, cognizant of all this. She's completely oblivious thus far. And also, I don't know if you noticed this, but in the background of the table, that's a pear or an apple behind Gary on that table, right in front of it.
Yes, yeah. I see that. I
Yeah.
think they're green apples because there's a bowl of like reddish apples there next to
Yeah.
the white roses, and there's the white roses on the table. This is also a shot in which you can see Maria's cabin. Never
Oh, that's
noticed that.
right.
So
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah. But I'm thinking like maybe that green apple is maybe Michael's spiritual presence saying, I'm giving you my blessing. This is your
Kiss him.
guy.
Kiss already.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Michael's
Oh,
just making an appearance,
yeah. Like
you
you
know?
deserve this. And then your
Yeah.
sister went and fucked it up again.
Yeah, I'm wondering, what do you think Michael's and Jillian's relationship was like? Like, because Jillian, half the time that Sally was with Michael, Jillian was across the country. Do you think they ever met? Do you think they ever had any kind of conversation ever?
I don't think so. I think
No?
internally, maybe Michael would have been like salty a
Yeah.
bit. If I saw Aaron missing his sibling and that sibling never coming around, I'd be like, that motherfucker, so selfish. Like, you don't deserve that. Like,
Yeah.
I would not have a good place in my mind for that person.
Right. Interesting. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Michael was just watching. Maybe Michael was the one that nudged his daughters to throw that potion in the lake to
Mm.
throw Jillian's plans askew.
He was like, reach in that pocket with his ID. Check the ID.
Check the ID. Card him.
Yeah.
The white roses on the table represent purity, destiny, and the blossoming of new love, tying into the themes of magical fulfillment. And again, I think it's a tie back to those rose petals that Sally used in her Amos Vitatis love spell. And it's just more proof that this is the guy that's right here before you, because those flowers have made their way back into the scene.
There are flowers everywhere at this house.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting because they're surrounded by so much darkness, yet they are continuously peppering their living space with these, I don't know, beautiful natural elements that,
Yeah.
you know, kind of
Life.
they're trying to hide the smell of death.
Yes,
Like, you know, like in a funeral parlor,
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's like, I know some people don't like lilies or a certain type of flower because it reminds them of like funeral homes, you know.
Yeah, that's roses for me, but I'm
Really?
embracing them.
I always love the smell of roses. It's like those are they calla lilies? I forget what kind of lilies that they always use at like in the funeral parlors, and it's
Yeah,
just like
calla
I
lilies.
can't do lilies.
Yeah, so when the girls realize that, hey, this is the guy that our mom might have wished for, they go and throw the syrup into the ocean. So in this scene, when it pans back to Sally and Gary, they're standing watching this and they're actively shielding their eyes from the blinding sun. And this could reflect their metaphorical struggle to face uncomfortable truths. And, you know, Sally about her past and Gary about reconciling his feelings with growing suspicions or growing feelings of intimacy and love. And as far as the frog and Jimmy's ring, we had a whole frog episode, didn't we? But frogs are often associated with transformation and uncovering hidden truths. Here, the frog bridges the magical and the physical worlds by exposing evidence, which is Jimmy's ring. So this ring emerges from the frog, and it's literally a symbol of the past coming back to haunt the sisters. It ties them to his death and represents their inability to escape these consequences. The act of the ring surfacing undermines the sisters' attempts to rid themselves of Jimmy's influence, proving that bearing truths always resurfaces. So, as far as the themes and metaphors with light and shadow, magic and reality, the interplay between the blinding sunlight and the hidden evidence ties into the broader themes of truth versus secrecy. Everything's coming to light here. The magical act of the frog revealing the ring challenges Gary's logical worldview, deepening the tension between the Owens family, supernatural heritage, and the world outside. And then this kind of pans back into a darker kitchen back inside where they're throwing away the pancakes. Jillian and Sally are arguing, and their voices clashing with the ambient sounds of the house. You know, we're getting the trash, the pancakes being thrown in the trash, glassware being put in the sink, silverware being put in the sink, and then the plate breaking. The warm tones in the kitchen, once comforting, now feel oppressive, reflecting the weight of their argument. And the fight is it's kind of choreographed with movement. Jillian starts going up the stairs and then she descends back down the stairs during this fight, and her figure is framed sharply as it confronts Sally, whose emotional turmoil builds. So I think she drops a broken bowl, maybe that had apples in it, and this litters the floor, symbolizing the chaos and the fracturing of their relationship. Is that right? didn't they drop something that had green apples in it?
Yeah, it was a bowl
Okay.
of green apples dropped all over the floor.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay, so Gary leaves, right? And then it jumps quickly to the next shot of the pancakes being thrown in the trash,
Yeah.
right? So to me, that's like the illusion, this idyllic life that Sally felt for a brief moment is just trash, thrown in the trash. Like,
It's like, well, never mind.
he's like, what was I thinking? Why would
Yeah.
I ever think that I could be happy again? You know?
Yeah.
And then maybe the dropping of the apples was again Michael being like, go tell him the truth. He's yours. Go, 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 go. And Jillian is this obstacle that keeps trying to keep the laws of natural reality. She's trying to keep that from happening, just like she kind of tried to fuck up the balance when she tried to bring Jimmy back. Like she's always trying to like fuck up the balance of the laws of nature.
Yeah.
And it never works in her favor because you can't control what's destined to happen. So the fact that like Sally was like, oh well I guess that was that, when like the pancakes were thrown in the trash, and then the bowl breaks, and then those green apples are like, Michael, your husband saying, your deceased husband saying, go, this is your man, I give you my blessing. That's just how I am interpreting it.
I love it.
That makes any sense.
Sally's just trying to clean up.
Yeah.
She's really trying to clean up, and then that happens. And she's still trying to just like, she's really biting her tongue, and it's until Jillian is like making it about her when it's not just about her. Sally has been thinking, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to lose my kids.
Yeah.
She's done. I'm fucking done.
But she's also like, aside from her not wanting to go to jail or lose her kids, I think she's also feeling this unexplainable pull toward this guy. Like, why? She committed a crime. She knows what she did was wrong. She knows she's going to go to jail for it. But why is she feeling compelled to put her trust in this man of the law who can literally throw her ass in jail right fucking now?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think something was compelling her to go. Like, she knew that he was there for other reasons, not just to like throw her ass in jail.
Grab those car keys.
Yeah.
Run into town.
Grab those car keys, but don't drive. And go chase his ass down.
Yeah.
Right. It's so funny. When she's chasing Gary down the sidewalk, the colors here are very bright, and the sunlight streams through the spaces between the buildings, creating stark contrasts of light and shadow on the pavement. Sally's dark blouse and patterned skirt stand out against the muted beige and white tones of the town's exteriors, which, by the way, all of those buildings were painted for the movie. They were all painted white for the movie because they were like different colors, like browns. I don't know what colors these buildings were, like, in the town in reality. In what was that town? Whidbey Island? Coopville, right? In Washington State. Yeah, so they were all painted white for the movie, and I think maybe it was so that the focus could be more on the characters and not so much on the buildings that are surrounding them. And then also just to give everything a unified, kind of glamorized look, maybe.
It's very pretty.
It is very pretty. But then I think they painted it back after the filming was concluded. And all right, so as far as the symbolism, the light breaking through represents Sally's pursuit of the truth, pushing past the shadows of guilt and secrecy. Her dark clothing emotes the weight of her emotions and internal conflict, contrasted by the brightness of the path that she's chosen.
Yeah, like she's running. It's like, you've run in between building shadows. It's like, I gotta do it. I can't do it. I gotta do it. I can't do it. But she's go, and she's pushing through that, self-doubt, her sister's pressures.
Right. And she even kind of like pushes her way into his room, right? She's like, we gotta talk. And she's like, all right. He's like, all right, come on in, I guess.
That's the hottest thing I have ever heard. I don't want a lawyer.
So let's talk about the inside of Gary's room, right? As Sally confesses the truth, the interplay of light and shadow mirrors the emotional complexity of the moment. Both truth and guilt, and both love and duty. Like, Gary's there to do his job, but he's also in pursuit of something else. Like, he was brought there because he saw something in her letter that he could not put down. He kept reading it and reading it and reading it. And that's why he was really there, right? I don't think he ever gave a fuck about this crime. Like, they killed a murderer. Like, who cares?
A man was short. A man like Jimmy Angelo?
Yeah.
I wanted to know, like, if you look at the second little picture thing I have in here, when they're sitting at the table, it's pretty dark. Like, the only light is coming through the window, And Sally, for most of it, is in shadow. And then when she says, how much evidence did you get from reading my letter? She leans forward and she's in the light.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gary leans forward out of the shadow and he's in the light. And I think that's so cool of like, oh, I know that you know that I know kind of moment.
It's almost like classic interrogation room like trope, but not done in a classic interrogation room, but like it just seems more relaxed here than an actual interrogation. And maybe that speaks to the fact that like she knows he's not really there to bring her in. Like he's there because he, you know, there's other reasons why he's there. And she saw that letter and she's like, okay, now I know why
We're about to make out.
Let's get it. Yeah, so then Sally confesses the truth and then they kiss, right? They have their very first kiss, and the colors here, the sunlight catches Sally and Gary in warm hues, emphasizing the emotional intensity of their connection. Sally's dark hair and blouse seem to absorb the light, while Gary's plaid shirt reflects the neutral, earthy tones of his grounded character. The light enveloping them during the kiss signals a fleeting moment of connection and clarity, and Sally's darkness absorbing the light suggests her continued struggle to reconcile her feelings. And not to mention that all that heterochromia going on in that scene.
The heterochromia in the room.
It's just like all the green and the blue, and then it kind of clicks for her. Like, oh shit, this is the guy. One green eye, one blue. Oh my god, how did I not see all the other signs that my daughters were trying to point out to me? That kind of sealed the deal for her. I think at that point she was like, okay, this is the guy.
That's a hot kiss.
Yeah, it right? Yeah.
He was ready to go. He was pulling her sweater down, like getting his hands all up under her shirt.
The only gripe I have about that scene are those gaudy ass fucking sneakers she has on with the socks, with that gorgeous skirt. I'm like, oh, you ruined it.
Yeah. It could have been Ked's no socks.
Yeah. I was like, what are those clunky sneakers she has on during this hot, steamy kiss? It's almost like you ever like you have like an intimate moment and the other person has socks on.
That's usually me. My feet are freezing.
They're completely naked with just the socks. I'm like, no. I can't go any further unless you take those off. Please and thank you.
I heard a statistic that women are more likely to orgasm if they are wearing socks. If your feet are warm, there's a likelier chance.
I have never heard that, but I'm also a cave woman. I can't do anything on my feet ever.
Okay.
My feet are always, like, Avi makes fun of me because I'll go to sleep with both socks on and I'll wake up with either one of them off and the other one's missing and I don't know where it goes in my sleep, but I kick them off in my sleep because I feel like I'm like, my feet are suffocating at night.
I'll wear flip-flops like if I'm like going in between the beach or the hot tub. I don't like things between my shoe and my foot. I don't like things sticking to my feet. Like if I'm gonna be outside, shoeless, okay. But we have fire ants everywhere, so it's really hard. I just don't make stuff touching my feet.
Yeah. You know what's like my pet peeve? Wet socks. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Ugh. I'd rather go sockless than have to wear wet socks for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Anyway, we side quested there. She's struggling to reconcile her feelings, so now she kind of runs away, right? She's in denial and she wants to distance herself just like she's run away from every other thing in her life that made her uncomfortable. She's walking home and her position, when she walks toward the hilltop, she's kind of silhouetted against a somber gray blue overcast sky. This kind of shows her inner turmoil and the critical shift in her journey. The overcast sky reflects her uncertainty and the emotional storm within her as she processes her realization about Gary. The colors, subdued and cool, highlight the tension between her longing and denial. In the second frame, with Sally running along the path overlooking the sea, the vibrant red of the pier in the background introduces a stark contrast to the muted, neutral tones of the landscape, symbolizing urgency and passion, kind of like the same way the rose petals did in the garden when she was like cutting everything down.
Action. It's always like the roses, this scene, and the cyclists in orange, just like boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Movement.
Yeah, exactly. This contrast mirrors Sally's own rush to reconcile her emotions and her sense of duty to return to her family. Their perspective from above, paired with the expanse of water, gives the impression of her isolation, caught between her realization and her impending fear of something wrong at home. And then she hears her daughter's voices calling to her, right? So then she kind of like jets back to that. Yeah. Didn't we say in another episode that that's like Gary
I'm tracking his head.
Yeah.
Gary hears the music. That's his synesthesia.
Gary hears the music. So then after Sally kind of darts home, we see Gary's perspective. And this is through another quote through the window shot. The window pane divides the image, creating a visual barrier between Gary and the outside world. This emphasizes his isolation and introspection as he processes the truth and his feelings, and like getting rejected, by the way, right? Because like he probably feels like something's wrong with me now. She doesn't like my heterochromia. I don't know what to do with myself.
I was born with it.
I was born with it. So he's just like sitting around like thinking about, well, like maybe he did something wrong, or like what the hell's going on.
And let's reinforce that his little business white button-up shirt is hanging behind him in this scene.
Yes.
So or did he change already? I can't see.
No, he didn't change it at this point. It's behind him.
So he changes before he comes to the rescue. That is his official officer attire.
Yeah,
White
he
shirt,
changed.
Good guy.
Yeah, he made it a point to put on a fresh shirt before he went over to duel a ghost.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So when we see him doing this shot through the window of his B&B, the warm glow of the interior lighting contrasts with the cooler muted tones of the window's exterior reflection. This duality highlights Gary's emotional warmth and yearning, juxtaposed with the logical and restrained persona that he often presents. The table lamp's soft golden hue creates an intimate atmosphere, underscoring his vulnerability and his quiet moments of doubt and longing. Then this brings us back to the Owens house. A descending spiral shot. Is that when the girls are running down the stairs and they're like, "Mommy, mommy"? So in this shot, the muted sepia tone palette of the spiral staircase reflects the transition from light to dark, both physically and metaphorically. The deep shadows and warm yellows of the wood create an ominous atmosphere, emphasizing the descent into danger. This subdued palette contrasts with the vibrant and playful tones seen earlier in the Midnight Margarita scene, marking a shift from joy and togetherness to fear and confrontation. The spiral also draws the eye downward, giving the impression of being pulled into the depths of chaos, kind of like we said when we talked about the Midnight Margarita scene earlier. It was kind of almost, we compared it to like the blender, like blending up all these ingredients and kind of creating that tornado of like chaos, right?
Yeah, but in a fun, playful way. We're going up, 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 up. You know, even though like alcohol is like a depressant, you feel most of the time good, you're up. But they're going down that spiral, opposite.
Yeah. So as far as the attic, the color schemes in the attic goes, they're mostly warm and rustic tones. So they're a mix of earthy browns, creamy whites, golden hues from the warm lighting. These tones evoke the history and nostalgia of the Owens house, but are now juxtaposed with intense supernatural happenings, which creates a dissonance. The glowing amber light from a small lamp contrasts sharply with the shadows of the wooden beams, visually highlighting the battle between light and dark. Light being safety, family, and protection, and dark being Jimmy's malevolent spirit. And maybe that's why Gary put on a white shirt, to symbolize he's the light in this situation. Jimmy's just kind of like decomposing, which clearly represents, that darker energy. Jimmy's spirit begins to rise, the colors shift further into cooler tones. The sickly pale greens and grays of Jimmy's ghostly appearance, they form contrast with the warm tones of the attic and Gary's what Gary's wearing. He's kind of wearing like a brown blazer over his white shirt, so that gives him that grounded appearance of that grounded energy.
Gary has never looked healthier in comparison. Like looking at the stills that we have in the center photo,
right?
Jimmy gray, and then Gary's got this like flushed, very like healthy looking complexion.
Right. Yeah. So, those sickly pale greens and grays of Jimmy's ghost, they form a contrast with the warm tones of the attic, visually alienating him as an intruder in this sacred family space. His colors are unnatural and cold, which emphasize his malevolence. And Gary's badge, however, reflects silvery tones of light, creating a stark, almost holy contrast against the shadowy and spectral hues of Jimmy. The silver of the badge glows when it burns Jimmy, symbolizing purity and justice overpowering corruption. The sharp metallic shine momentarily cuts through the warmer palette, signaling a small victory in this moment. The interplay of light and shadow in these stills further emphasizes the tension. The warm golden lighting on Jillian writhing on the bed contrasts with the dark, shadowed corners of the attic, symbolizing her struggle between possession and her own self. Gary is often framed with a balance of light and shadow, reinforcing his role as a figure caught between the supernatural chaos and grounded reality. Lastly, for this attic scene, let's talk about the Western aesthetic. So in the standoff moment between Gary and Jimmy, the warm wood tones of the attic amplify the Western aesthetic of the scene. The golds and browns mimic the dusty plains of classic Westerns, while the sharp light from the badge becomes the, quote, gunshot that incapacitates Jimmy. This subtle homage adds a heroic element to Gary's role and reinforces his archetypal, quote, sheriff stance. And just take a note of their eyes in this scene. It's interesting that both men in this film have had episodes here on Magnolia Street about we've talked about their eyes, right? Yeah. First we did the daguerreotype photography, which was episode 45, about Jimmy's shimmering eyes, and then we had episode 60 about heterochromia, all about Gary's rare eye condition, being the one green eye, the one blue. But we know our actor Aidan Quinn doesn't actually have this condition. He actually has both blue eyes, but here we have the blue eyes almost being captured in the mirror of Jimmy's dead eyes.
So we cut then to Gary is waiting outside, almost on top of where Jimmy is buried. He's underneath the arbor. It cuts the exterior at twilight. And it's interesting because here is a contrast from usually like the safety within the Owens house. Now they're finding safety and calm outside the Owens house here. This sequence set at twilight uses the soft blues and purples and warm earthy tones to under the score. It's interesting. They have that duality. We have the blues and purples, but also it's warm at the same time. Sally's skin is like very, very warm here. It's lit beautifully. And this is underscoring the emotional vulnerability and magic of the moment between Sally and Gary. The twilight backdrop represents transition, moving from safety of day into the mystery of night, which parallels Sally stepping out of her emotional walls to reveal her deepest truths to Gary. So Gary here is looking up at this crescent moon, and this aligns with his reflective nature and the acknowledgement of something larger at play, whether it be fate, magic, destiny. The pale blue tones around the moon convey calm and quiet power, emphasizing the otherworldly yet grounding nature of their connection. We see him in this shot looking to the moon, where the whole movie beforehand we see Sally seeking the moon, out for some kind of guidance. In the flashback with young Gary, when she's telling Gary about the spell that she worked and we get him sitting backwards on the horse, we have here like the pastel-y pink petals falling around young Gary, and this is introduced like a dreamlike quality, symbolizing the purity and innocence of Sally's wish. It contrasts with the earthy tones of the present, highlighting the idealistic nature of her childhood dream. And between this conversation of Sally and Gary, the mix of soft light on their faces and the surrounding shadows heighten the intimacy of their exchange. Gary's face being partly in shadow suggests the weight of his decision to protect her, while Sally's tears catching the light emphasize her emotional release and, her undecidedness. There might be hope. There might, she's got other bigger problems now involving her sister being possessed. I wanted to touch on this. I know I messaged Justina specifically, and we probably talked about this in like our episode where you and I did a commentary where we finally watched Practical Magic together. I didn't realize this, but when Gary turns around in this scene, like he's walking away, he says his line, "I wished for you too." That wide shot in which we can see the garden and its gate, it's broad daylight out when just moments ago we were in purple twilight. So just a little disconnect there. I don't think this was intentional, but if we're going to keep riding this color analysis train, is this the moment when like all is brought into light? The moment where Sally is struggling to accept until it's shining right in front of her. Like, even though it isn't until later when she asks Jillian, that we see her make her decision to, release the leaf and call Gary back to her. It's so strange that like specifically it's purple twilight when they're having this conversation. Then he walks away again, probably not intentional, but that it's like, "I wish for you too." And boom, it's right there. Solid broad daylight.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just true Stina's fashion to just be reading way too much into this shit. It probably wasn't intentional. It's probably like they got the shot when they could get the shot, and they couldn't get the shot when they were doing the purple twilight scene because they probably had to. It's a different angle, right? He's over by the gate now, so they have to reset up the camera, reset up the lighting. Like, it's a completely different, like, there were two completely different shoots probably. I like that interpretation though.
I feel like all of our episodes, you will not watch this movie the same way, but these two specifically, I'm not going to be watching the movie the same way after what we've talked about,
right,
as far as composition.
And like, even though we might be reading way too much into certain things and it's probably not intentional, we made it intentional. And I like how everybody kind of has their own interpretations of things. And that's just the beauty of analyzation and picking apart these scenes, that everybody's going to have a different take on what certain things might mean,
Yes.
I love that. All right, so do we want to take a break here? Because this is kind of the turning point of the film, right? Because Sally, she comes clean, not just about the crime, but also that I'm the reason why you're here. I wrote that letter. Like, I did that Almas Vitae spell when I was a kid, and that's the reason why you're really here. So she not only came clean about her being a criminal, maybe, but she's also come clean about being a witch.
Yeah. And to herself, she's come clean as well.
Right. And she kind of comes clean to Gary before she even declares herself a witch to the phone tree. Like, he's the first person she really admitted to, like, I do magic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why you're here.
Oh, Sally. So, I think it's a good time to pause, and then we have a card pull when we return. Okay. And then we will pick up where Jillian is full-blown Jimmy. Right to the end of the movie.
Jillian's full-blown exorcism mode.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Yeah. So we're gonna do all that when we come back. So stay right there. Hey, little witches, Justina here, calling all practical magic fans and music lovers. This fall, get ready for something truly spellbinding from the Stinas. Kristina and I started Magnolia Street Podcast as a way to share our original music inspired by our favorite movie, Practical Magic. We've been hard at work in the recording studio since September, brewing up our 5-song debut EP, Magnolia Street Volume 1.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you go down to Magnolia Street where the wisteria grow wild? At the house of magic and mystery, so would you go down to Magnolia Street?
You want the inside scoop on our music and the stories behind each song? Join our Rose tier on Patreon for just $8 a month and dive into exclusive content from our songisodes. Plus, bonus content from our highly anticipated upcoming EP. On there, you'll find lyric sheets, original demos, behind-the-scenes videos from the studio, blog posts, production notes, and more. Don't miss out on the magic. Keep up to date with us on our Instagram at Magnolia Street Podcast for all of our music news and be a part of our musical journey. The Stinas are bringing practical magic to life, one song at a time, right here on Magnolia Street.
You didn't go down to Magnolia Street. Magnolia Street.
Hey, little witches! The Stinas here. If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you would know how much we love using the Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle deck by Grounded by the Moon.
And now we want to share the magic of Grounded by the Moon with you, our listeners. Joseph Benitez Egerton, the creator behind Grounded by the Moon, would like to offer this very special 10% off discount to all who wish to experience the magic of his Practical Magic themed tarot and oracle decks.
But that's not all. He also creates other divination tools like tarot workbooks, deck bags and altar cloths, pendulum kits, oil blends, cleansing sprays, smoke wands, teas, and ritual kits.
And let's not forget about his custom handcrafted all-natural soy candles, where every candle is hand-poured and personally infused and charged under the light of the moon. They even come with a crystal.
And did we mention all of the ingredients in the candles are ethically sourced?
All of Joseph's offerings are just so magical. So go visit groundedbythemoon.com and use the coupon code Magnolia Magic for 10% off your entire order at checkout.
That's MAGNOLIA MAGIC. So get your discount today. Hey, we're the Stinas, and you're listening to Magnolia Street Podcast. Right, we're at the magenta part.
Yeah. Magenta. Columbia. Okay. Welcome back. Do you have your cards?
I do.
Next to you. Okay.
Yes. Okay, tell me when to stop.
Stop. Oh my God.
Shut up. I can't even see it yet. Wait, hold on. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. How we be doing that?
How we be doing that? We got the star.
We talked about this, couple episodes ago, because we just did the star episode, right?
Yeah, you're right. You are right.
Yeah, so this is the sheriff's badge, Gary's badge, and the keyword on this card is believe.
If you ever did believe.
I love that song.
Good song.
So the name of this card is not actually Gary's badge. The name of this card is actually symbols.
Okay.
So let's see what that means for us today. I think that's hilarious that we literally just talked about this card. Empower. Believe and empower are the keywords on this card. So know that whatever you believe can and does have power. Know your strength, know your power. You need to believe in yourself. Empower yourself. Your magic is only as strong as you believe it is. Right now, you're being asked to look at how much energy and effort you put into your own beliefs. Embrace yourself and all that you do hold true. Do just that, believe within. The pentacle is a great, magical, and powerful symbol, a 5-pointed star encompassed by a circle. Witches use the power within for protection as well as a greater connection to the 5 elements. Use the power of this symbol or create your own and utilize the power of sigil magic to empower your energy and magic. And the mantra is, what I believe has power, and I believe in myself.
I love it.
I don't know how we can correlate that with color analysis.
Well, I mean, we just left off that scene.
Yeah.
It only has power. Curses only have power if you believe, and I don't.
That is true. Yeah. Gary gives no fucks about.
He does not.
Nobody told him what happened in the last book, though.
That heart condition he didn't see coming.
I'm sorry, Gary.
Oh, they did him dirty.
It's karma for leaving a bucket of chicken in the rain in book 1.
Perfectly good chicken. You know why? Because we talked about this, because Sally is a vegetarian and he didn't want to offend her.
That's right. I always forget that detail about the first book.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you take this, but I wanted to specifically point this out. I think I said in the part 1, this scene where Sally goes back into the house, as well as the lighting on the house, like right before the making the cupcakes is all seen, I was like, these 2 scenes specifically, why did they choose this lighting? It's so specific. And this is, again, just our interpretations, but this is the only scene we kind of see this color Justina's going to talk about now.
Yeah. Yeah. So we see kind of like this fuchsia magenta uplighting, right? Mm-hmm. The scene where Sally goes back into the house after spilling all that tea to Gary. He leaves. She goes back in the house. We see that awesome portrait of, what is it, Sybil of Cleves?
Yeah.
Which we talked about in an entire episode in, like, what was it, season 1 that we talked about?
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
so she walks in and kind of Jillian meets her with this, like, weird, creepy hug, and she cradles her head and kind of whispers yee-haw into her ear. And we see that fuchsia magenta uplighting in the background, and yeah, we have never seen this uplighting in this color in the film. It's usually like blue, right? Or
warm white,
warm tones of like a glow of candlelight. Like, it's never, this magenta is kind of off-putting because you're like, all right,
it doesn't belong.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that and the symbolic and emotional meaning of that now. So fuchsia is a blend of red and purple, combining the passionate, aggressive energy of red with the mysticism and complexity of purple. The brightness of the fuchsia underscores the unnatural and heightened emotions in this moment, amplifying the audience's awareness that something is deeply wrong. So fuchsia is often associated with magic, transformation, and the supernatural. By bathing this scene in this color, the lighting emphasizes Jimmy's malevolent influence and the otherworldly nature of the possession. The unnatural glow signals to the audience that this is a moment where reality is disrupted by magic, foreshadowing the revelation of Jimmy's presence in Jillian. But it's like weird because in other scenes, like we saw his presence in Jillian in other scenes and we haven't seen this lighting. So why now?
Right. I don't know, because like before when he comes out of Jillian, he's like, boom, here I am, where he's like being a slithery snake in this one.
Conniving or like now he's actually, like, I guess the first time we didn't see the magenta lighting because he wasn't trying to glamour Sally as well. He was solely trying to like take over Jillian in the attic because Sally was at Gary's B&B. Like she wasn't even there.
He saw his opening And he was trying to take it then. Here,
Yeah.
he's trying to pull a fast one, giving Sally like a false sense of security.
Yeah, but also the color was also a warning to her, maybe seeing the shift in the colors around her enabled her to hone in more on her intuition and sensing that something was off and something was wrong. So fuchsia is vibrant but slightly unsettling, straddling the line between beauty and discomfort. This reflects the dual nature of the moment. Jillian reaching out for a hug, it seems tender, but the audience feels a sense of unease that something is amiss. And Sally kind of senses that too, right? So the color serves as a visual warning that the danger is imminent. And then Jillian fucking licks her face and then she's like, what the fuck?
Feeling very industrious right now.
Like after that, she's like, okay, now
Ooh, yeah, what do I do?
Yeah. As far as the visual and narrative impact of this lighting, the fuchsia light transforms the otherwise cozy, familiar interior of the Owens house into something alien and threatening. This shift heightens the drama of the scene, pulling the audience into the supernatural stakes. The boldness of the color reflects the climactic escalation as the story shifts from personal struggles to a direct confrontation with magic and possession. The vibrant lighting creates a stark contrast with the darker elements of the scene, such as the shadows and subdued tones of the characters' clothing. This contrast draws attention to the emotional intensity and the supernatural influence permeating the room. The pink tones also make Jillian's actions and expressions stand out, reinforcing her role as the central figure in this moment of conflict. And then, lastly, the fuchsia lighting foreshadows the breaking point of Jimmy's possession and the transformation that will occur once Sally takes action. It signals to the audience that the situation is reaching a critical moment of no return. And that's until the aunts come in and save the day, right? They say, "Do you have any friends?" So that very next scene, we're in the living room with Jillian tied to the chair, and the aunts are tending to her. And we've had cool tones before, lots of blue supporting lots of different scenes, but the blue in this scene is almost bordering on like a deep electric purple. So though the room is lit by soft white lamps, the surrounding color is still charged, you could say. The fuchsia is gone, but the threat is still there.
Yeah.
It's almost like the fuchsia magenta tone kind of, it diminished a little bit once the aunts got there, because like they're more experienced than Sally is in this realm of magic and how to work magic as far as the laws of nature are, applied. Jimmy knows that this is a threat to him now, so maybe he's backing off a little bit, kind of maybe going back, not into hiding, but like when a turtle kind of like retrieves their head back into the shell a little bit, like I feel like that's what he's kind of doing here. Once the aunts arrive, he's like, oh shit, some experienced witches just walked into this game. They could really fuck me up, so I need to just lay low for a little bit. But it doesn't work because the aunts are like, we're gonna nip this in the bud right here, right now.
It's very electric blue. I took this as like the fuchsia. Jimmy is very prevalent. He's there. He's making himself known. But as soon as Sally knocks him out, Jillian's tied up in the living room. So he's kind of contained in this more, it's still electric, like in the same space as that fuchsia.
Right.
But it's contained at least in that way of her being tied down.
You know what my question is that, okay, so Jimmy's a spirit, right? Yeah, he's in Jillian at this moment, but we saw him come out of body when Gary came into the scene earlier in the attic. Why isn't he coming out of body now to kind of try to face off with the aunts?
What did Sally say when she went outside and talked with Gary? You disposed of his spirit, but I'm the one who took his life.
Yeah, I don't remember.
What I'm trying to say is, like, did Gary's badge like take away some of his power of being able to come out of his vessel?
Like he's no longer able to materialize into the physical plane?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that I guess that would make sense. Yeah, maybe that kind of like puts the little nail in the coffin as far as the plot hole's concerned, because otherwise I would be like, why would he be able to come out of Jillian's body in that scene, but not in this final showdown scene when the aunts come to?
Yes.
Rescue, right?
Yeah.
It just never made sense to me. But I guess that does make sense if she said that little comment, if Gary's badge did kind of like take away that power from him. So now it's time for Sally to get in touch with the phone tree. Now they are preparing for this exorcism. So the montage leading up to this pivotal moment is emotionally charged and visually captivating. So here's a little bit of an outline of that sequence. So the girls Sally's daughters, Kylie and Antonia, eagerly jump in to assist their mother. They're seen helping the aunts gather the picture frames off the walls, clear the mantle with the glass items, replace all those items with candlesticks, helping to light the candles. They help move Jillian in the reclining chair, and then you see the kind of toads spilling out the back of the chair, and they gather the toads, corral them back out to the garden, and then they welcome in the guests from the phone tree as they go skipping into the house. I don't even think the girls really understand the weight of this, what's about to go down. They're just like excited to finally see mommy do magic again. They're like, oh,
yeah, like, people, oh my God.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, can we help? Can we help? Which is really cute. And the scene underscores the idea of family bonds and the passing of witchcraft knowledge from one generation to the next. And like, it's kind of like Kylie and Antonia were finally tagged in, right? They're no longer sitting on the bench. Like, they're finally able to partake in like what their family has done for centuries, generations. Because like they were restricted by Sally for so long, right?
They're not sitting on the stairs anymore, hiding, watching.
Yeah, exactly. Sally activates the phone tree, a pre-established communication network between the local women. This is both a logistical move and a symbolic act of community. The phone call ripples through town, with the women pausing their daily routines to answer Sally's call for help.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
What is Carla doing at the shop that late at night? Look at she's almost in like dark. She's in shadow. There's like one light on in the shop. What's she doing there?
Maybe she's doing inventory? It looks like she was stocking shelves, right?
Yeah. But then we see not Carla, who's the other one?
Linda,
she's at home eating popcorn in her jammies.
Yeah, she was the one eating like a chocolate or whatever she was.
What a fabulous affirmation.
She was snacking on something. So I don't know, maybe Carla had night shift inventory and like
I guess
maybe they traded off those inventory responsibilities. I don't know. Yeah, so the women of the town are shown getting ready to head to Sally's house. Some are hesitant, while others are excited and curious. They grab their brooms and tools, representing a mix of practical and magical intentions. And one even, like, brings a vacuum, which we'll talk about in a second. The women arrive one by one, their brooms and one with a vacuum in hand, a visual nod to their collective power as witches or even witch allies, and the solidarity of the feminine community. So once gathered, the women help complete the circle and prepare for the exorcism. When they walk into the ritual space, they form a cohesive group as they pick up the brooms as laid out in the circle surrounding Jillian like a magical barrier of protection. This builds anticipation and highlights the power of collective energy. Listen to our Song of Sodes Circle of Brooms, right?
Yeah.
We talk all about this scene and all of their power as a collective. And what's our song lyric in that song? We're stronger in numbers, right? There's strength in numbers. Yeah. So the ritual begins with the women standing together, brooms at staff length, handle to brush as Jet directs them, and they're ready to face Jimmy's spirit head on, and it sets the stage for a very climactic exorcism. So let's talk about some of the color theory now in that montage scene of them getting ready to like clear the room and put the candles on. The glow in this scene is just very beautiful. I love the glow of the candles. It's just very warm and golden and creates a sense of intimacy and safety, reflecting the bond between Sally and her daughters. Like, they're finally able to see mommy do magic again, and they're finally able to take part in it too. The lighting is soft and inviting, symbolizing the nurturing energy of family and the sacredness of passing down magical knowledge. It stands in contrast to the colder, harsher lighting seen in earlier moments involving Jimmy's spirit, which reflects chaos and danger. Amber and yellow lighting are for learning and empowerment. As the girls watch Sally demonstrate how to blow on the candles, the amber and yellow hues from the flames symbolize knowledge, hope, and empowerment. And fire has long been associated with transformation and willpower, and here it represents the spark of magic being awakened in the younger generation. The girls are not just assisting their mother, they are stepping into their own roles as witches.
I wanted to say that this connects me with like your sacral chakra and so you have your root, sacral,
solar plexus.
Okay, so the sacral and solar plexus, the yellows and oranges, like your creativity, your drive, that kind of thing. Like this is innately them. This is their everything. This is them.
100%. Yeah. And let's talk about the candlelight's flicker, right? It almost creates a hypnotic rhythm, suggesting the interplay between control and chaos, which mirrors the tension of the coming ritual. Teaching the girls how to blow the flames on and off shows them how to harness their power, a small but meaning act of agency. And it's really cute. They're like spitting on it, like they don't really know how to quite harness that power quite yet, but they're like little baby witches. And this is kind of their foray into the realm of working their own magic, and they have a lot to learn. And the fact that Sally is right there next to them, it's kind of like her stepping into like, okay, I'm ready to assist you now. I'm ready to be your teacher now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the aunts were for her and Jillian growing up. The light also acts as a protective force, foreshadowing the power of collective intention that will later expel the darkness of Jimmy's spirit. Yeah, the candle's glow expands and reflects off of the faces of Sally and her daughters, and it visually connects them through light. They're no longer acting in fear. They're no longer hidden in fear. They're stepping into their power. They're stepping into that light. So let's talk about the scene's soft golden glow, which contrasts starkly with the sharp, chaotic light in the exorcism scene later in the film, where red and black, this says red and black dominate. I'm not sure. I don't know. ChatGPT wrote this, but.
Well, if you're looking specifically at when Jillian and Sally are in a scene together, Jillian's red hair so stark because she's wearing a black top. Sally's hair is dark. She's wearing a dark top. So I could see a little bit of that there.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the slides now. And yeah, and then we also have more candle glow, I think, after the initial, like when Jillian goes to leave the circle and it blows her back into the circle. It kind of, there's like this moment of, what is it called? Is it repose? Like it kind of just like, everything gets silent for a moment and it kind of just circles the two of them. And it's just like an awkward moment, but I think essential for them to gather, for Sally to collect her thoughts and really think about, okay, what can I do at this point to really bring this home?
Her priority.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to touch back on what you were saying as far as like the glow and the girls with Sally there. They're lighting those candles against, I think it's the mantle, which has a mirror behind it, which makes it just look like there's so many more candles, which in my mind makes me think of the phone tree women coming and supporting them. Like there's the strength in numbers there. Yeah. Even if you have to fake it a little bit, the candles are illuminating so much more being against a mirror that way.
Giving the illusion that there's more power brought forth to get rid of Jimmy's spirit, kind of like like an intimidation tactic. Right? Yeah. And I think that's interesting because we often associate mirrors with illusion. Think about, what is it, Through the Looking Glass, Alice in Wonderland? Like
smoke and mirrors.
She's able to get into Wonderland by going through the mirror. That was always my favorite as a kid. They did a movie like in the 80s and she's in like this.
The bulk in that?
No, it's
different.
I can't think of the little girl's name, but I think you're thinking of The Worst Witch, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen either.
It was like Harry Potter before Harry Potter was like a thing.
Okay.
Tim Curry was in it.
Okay.
He played like the Dark Lord or something, the High Priest or something
Classic.
like that. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about the pre-exorcism kitchen scene now. All right, so color is used intentionally throughout the film, particularly in the final act, to convey mood, themes, and transformation. We have the soft and warm lighting in Sally's kitchen, where much of the preparation happens, and it's bathed in a warm, golden tone, and the lighting conveys a sense of safety, familial love, and grounded magic. The warmth contrasts with the cold, ominous blues and greens used in earlier scenes involving Jimmy's spirit, signaling that the ritual is rooted in love and hope. Now that the aunts are back, it's kind of like, okay, the gang's all here. Let's get to work.
And in these scenes, like the kitchen, it looks like it's the only thing illuminated that we can see here, but the blue light that's coming down from the tower, the spiral stairs. And then when Sally enters the scene, she's walking in from, I'm guessing, the dining room, and we get more of that blue tone. Like it's lurking back there. And also Sarah has a little bit when she shows up of the dark night through the window behind her.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then some of the earthy and natural tones for some of the ritual tools, the earthy color of the bubbling cauldron broth, and the broom circle is in kind of like an earthy neutral tone, reinforcing the connection between witchcraft and nature. And these colors also highlight the simplicity and authenticity of the women's magic. And that floor is like an earthy, dark wood floor, kind of like it grounds the whole scene, I think, right?
Yeah. It almost is so dark, it looks like a void. Like she's just in this perpetual like purgatory almost.
She's floating, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, floating.
Yeah. Yeah. The array of brightly colored brooms carried by the women adds a whimsical and celebratory touch. It's a moment of reclaiming their identities and uniting their diverse energies to achieve something powerful together. The use of color in these scenes mirrors the emotional arc of the film, transitioning from fear and danger to unity, love, and renewal. The broom handles range from natural wood to dark blue to green. There's even a baby blue colored broom in there, which I thought was really cute. But if you notice, there's no like red or like orange or yellow. There's no warm colored brooms. They're all more of those earthy, heavenly tones. Let's talk about the soft, warm tones of the candle glow, particularly in scenes involving Jillian. And this represents danger, passion, and vitality. During the exorcism, the warm glow of the candles surround Jillian as a spiritual force field of protection against when Jimmy fights back, underscoring his hold on her. It also symbolizes her life force and the stakes of freeing her. So the white light used in the scene at the end when Jimmy's spirit is finally expelled, this kind of signifies liberation. As the ritual succeeds, the white light floods the space and it symbolizes purity, cleansing, and release. He no longer has a hold on her, right? His negative energies are gone. This light overtakes the shadows and red hues, making the triumph of love and community over darkness and possession. Then we have the black shadows that represent Jimmy's spirit. He's visually represented with black and shadowy effects, creating a stark contrast to the lighter tones in the house. His presence brings a visual weight to the scenes, emphasizing his oppressive and invasive nature. You see this mostly once Jimmy is defeated and his spirit dust bursts out of Jillian toward the ceiling, and then it comes crashing back down on the floor, and then I forget who says it. They're like, dust or ashes to ashes, ladies, right?
Oh yeah, Franny does.
Yeah, and then they use their brooms and sweep his crusty, dusty remains back out into the garden. Lastly, we have red, which is used in a couple ways here, but it's used very sparingly. It is only used once by one of the townswomen who brings over a red dirt devil vacuum as her ritual tool instead of a broom. And this is most likely done for comedic value, as the dirt devil is not actually used in the exorcism scene that follows. Like, she don't bring the dirt devil into that room. She actually uses a broom. I think the red dirt devil is used for a couple different reasons. First off, for a sense of irony, right? Because earlier, Sally, doesn't she tell Gary there's no devil in the craft? But now, in the final scene, this woman is literally bringing the dirt devil with every intention of using it to, quote, aid in the craft. But then in the following scene, since the vacuum was never used in the exorcism ritual, what Sally said to Gary earlier in the greenhouse actually holds true. There still wasn't any devil used in the craft.
It's so funny. Yeah.
Right? I don't know if that was intentional by the writers, but if it was, I think that's hilarious.
Well played.
Right, well played, exactly. And in the exorcism scene, the character that brought the red vacuum is actually holding a blue-handled broom. And the only other time red was used really in this scene was when Sally grabs Jillian's hand to cut her palm. We see the blood, a reminder of their blood bond and the pact and the sisterly bond that transcends their relationship through time and space.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Their sisterly bond.
The only thing I wanted to point out specifically that stood out to me is like usually we see the women in very like neutral tones, the PTA, but the one woman we always see with the bangs and the pigtails is wearing a purple sweater, which I thought was kind of cool. The one who makes like the face at the boiling cauldron. And I'm wondering why they chose to put her in purple. Like, is she the next little witch of the town? Like, she starts hanging out with Clara and, starts doing the witchy stuff.
Right.
Just that. And this whole scene is like a primary color war to me between the blue of the room and Jillian's fiery hair and her ruddy complexion. Like, it's just like contrast.
Yeah, this scene is very highly contrasted. Like, the room is so dark. Like, all the characters in the film, like, they just pop off the background that much more. And it kind of puts the focus on the sisters and, this magic that they're doing. There's no other distractions, you know?
Right.
So I think it's really cool how they did that scene.
But you added some here about this duality of blue, like that could be calm or chaos here, like we talked about. We had the electric blue that is still present in these scenes, but blue is often associated with calm and introspection, clarity, but it also has a cold and foreboding side. In this scene, the blue lighting mirrors the emotional and magical duality at play. On one hand, it signifies the calm resolve of women coming together to banish Jimmy's spirit. have. But on the other, it hints at the dangers, otherworldliness, and lingering chaos of the possession of Jillian. And as far as the connection to the spirit world, blue is frequently associated with the ethereal and the supernatural, making it a fitting choice to highlight the crossing of the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realms. The blue uplighting underscores the presence of Jimmy's malevolent spirit, and I think we need malevolent and foreboding. Like we have demons, like a demon choir, demons, benevolent back soundtrack. His spirit and the ritual purpose to sever that spiritual tether. And blue often associated with water, and water is typically a cleansing force. It can symbolically represent purification, healing, emotional depth. Blue tones in the room subtly reflect the emotional cleansing happening during the exorcism. Sally and Jillian are purging the darkness Jimmy has inflicted on their lives. It reinforces the idea of washing away the corruption of his spirit and restoring the balance.
Yeah, and if you look really carefully, I think you can see Avi in the background eating a cheesesteak.
What? It's my worst fear.
Go listen to our
exorcisms
episode. Oh my god. That entire episode lives in my head rent free.
So many good ones.
I love it.
So good.
A banana tree.
Bananas. Blue also is associated with trust, loyalty, and unity. These themes are central to this scene as the women of the town come together despite their earlier prejudices and skepticisms about the Owens family to create a united front against evil. The lighting highlights their strength of this collective power that they have and their willingness to stand together, a greater cause. The coolness of the blue contrasts with the warm, glowing light seen earlier in the preparation montage and the candle blowing scene. This contrast creates a visual arc that transforms from tension and conflict, blue, to resolution and liberation, white and gold, light flooding the room at the ritual conclusion. The blue tones act as a bridge, symbolizing the liminal space between darkness and light, struggle and triumph. And I think I said this in the first part, that we have a little time cut where we see those once very tall, full candles. The producers chose to show us the passage of time by showing us the candle burn down to very stubby.
Oh, wow. I never noticed that before. I never I guess made it a point to acknowledge what the candles were doing throughout that entire scene.
They're all melted down.
I like that.
And blue can also be read as a symbol of sadness and emotional vulnerability, reflecting Jillian's state as she battles Jimmy's possession. The coldness of the blue lighting aligns with her struggle to break free, illustrating how his toxic energy has dimmed her warmth and vitality. She is ready to give up, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When the ritual succeeds and the warmer tones return, it visually marks Jillian's liberation and healing. And the blue lighting in this scene, as a final thought, is an intentional choice that elevates the emotional and symbolic states of the exorcism and emphasizes the supernatural, highlights the power of unity, and visually guides the audience through the Owen sisters' journey from darkness to light. The one other thing is, I think I already said that their outfits here are so similar in that, to me, it's very symbolic of their unity. They both have the dark tops with the light skirts. Not what I'm picking for an exorcism. Oh yeah, they're running around in skirts. I know Jillian didn't have a choice, but I'm putting on pants.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be busy.
Is this the same? They're both still wearing the same outfits from Breakfast with Gary, right? This is all the same day.
It is the same day. I don't remember what Jillian's shirt looked like, so I'm gonna go back up. She has a sweater on, but she does have a shirt.
Okay. But Sally's wearing the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just all the same day.
All the same day. Yep.
That's a long day.
You can't put off an exorcism.
Right. And I mean, this exorcism was already attempted once by Gary, and then he leaves, and then Jimmy's like, no, you didn't get rid of me all the way yet.
Yeah,
right?
The line I looked up, it said, what was that? Was that him? And Sally goes, you killed the spirit, but I'm the one who took his life.
Oh.
I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Okay. But I mean, he just fended him off for a quick moment, but he didn't really get rid of him. But I don't think at that point, Sally, they didn't know, right? They're like, oh, well, I guess he disintegrated into thin air before our very eyes when he saw the badge. So maybe he's gone.
We're safe.
Yeah, but it was a false moment of, what's the word? Safety?
Yeah,
a false sense of safety. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This next scene is the garden scene when Sally's burning the brambles. So after the exorcism successfully expels Jimmy Angelov's spirit, the film transitions into a quieter but equally significant moment where where Sally is burning the remainder of the brambles under the rose arbor in the garden. This moment serves as a final symbolic cleansing, ensuring that any lingering traces of Jimmy are truly gone. And this is the only time that we really see Jillian in like a softer, lighter color. It looks like it could be either a white or a baby blue dress. I think in the next picture, it's kind of like a plaid print. You see it?
It is. It's very pretty. I love this.
Yeah, and maybe it even looks more like a gray striping on it. Before when she's walking into the house, into the garden with the FedEx envelope in her hand, it looks a little lighter blue. And yeah, we don't really see her in any lighter colors like this through the entirety of the film, right?
Yeah, it's such a like, I've been cleansed. I've been rebaptized, you know?
Yeah. I was always like, what is this frock she's wearing at the end? Like, it just like, it felt like it made no sense, but it kind of did. I don't know. Jillian was always this eccentric fashionista. Like, she always had some kind of, like, even as a kid wearing the kimono in the greenhouse, like, she's always had kind of like a crazy fashion style. Yeah. So I guess it does make sense, but it looked a little conservative for her.
It does. Right? Yeah, it's long sleeve up to her neck and very to her ankles. It's form-fitting.
Very
it's so
Victorian.
Pretty. I would be sweating in this.
Oh yeah,
depending on the weather that day. But Sally's in a cardigan, so maybe it's a nice day.
Well, didn't we surmise that the end of this film was getting closer to fall now?
Yes,
right, because we're moving toward Samhain, toward that end Halloween scene. But yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe Jillian borrowed this get up from the aunt's Victorian closet. I don't know.
The aunts were va-va-vooming back in the day. They had, that is a slender fit.
Yeah, it is. So let's talk about Sally in the garden. So she's seen tending to the smoldering pile of brambles, and she's feeding the fire with the remnants of the dark magic that had entangled her and Jillian. The rose arbor overhead remains an important symbol, representing both love and protection, now purged of Jimmy's corruption. Right? Like, I don't even think we see any rose petals anymore, right?
No.
They're probably gone at this point. She's just burning the thorns and the brambles and the brush. The fire crackles as the brambles burn, releasing smoke into the air, visually mirroring the way the sisters' troubles are finally dissipating. So Jillian arrives with the letter. She approaches Sally holding a package from UPS containing a letter from Gary's office in Tucson, Arizona, illegally absolving the Owen sisters of murder.
I have a question. The shot we have here of Sally opening that envelope.
Yeah.
There's a Olympics logo. Do you see that in the corner, the five circles? Do you see she's ripping open? Not the letter, like the envelope, the big envelope. If you
the one right under the shot where Jillian's walking into the house.
There's an Olympics logo there. Was there an Olympics?
Yeah,
98.
90s. The Olympics were in 97, I believe. The Summer Olympics, anyway. I don't know about the Winter Olympics.
The 18th Olympic Winter Games, which were held over 16 days from 7 to 22nd of February 1998. So there were Olympics in 98.
The Winter Olympics or the Summer Olympics?
Nagano. Where's that?
I don't know.
It's the Winter Olympics.
Okay, yeah. All right. That makes sense. Because the Summer Olympics, I was obsessed with the Magnificent Seven gymnastics team, and that was 97.
Okay.
And that was in Atlanta, Georgia.
Interesting. Okay. Just a little something I never noticed.
I never noticed. That's so freaking weird. Okay. When they open that letter, this is a moment of immense relief. What had once been a source of fear and secrecy is now resolved, lifting the final weight from their shoulders. So Jimmy's ring, right? This is the last tie to the past. Along with the letter, the package contains Jimmy Angelov's silver skull ring, the last physical remnant of his presence in their lives. Jillian throws it into the fire, ensuring that the last piece of evidence connecting them to the crime is destroyed. The flames flare momentarily as the metal heats, a visual punctuation to the finality of Jimmy's influence. And I think it's interesting how Sally hands Jillian the ring. She's like, here, this is your boy. You do the honors.
This is your shit here, girl.
She's like, if you want to keep the ring, that's up to you. Like, she doesn't say this, but like, she's probably like, if you want to keep the ring, here you go. Here. Yeah. Jillian's like, nope, in the fire.
Yeah, good for her.
So I think that probably took a lot for her, or maybe not at this point, to say goodbye once and for all.
That first picture, okay, I did include the envelopes in a bigger shot. I can see Maria's Island, MA01674, but I can't see what's above that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Hold on. Don't they have those like anti-blur apps that you can
How do you do that?
Plug the picture in and it makes it clearer to read? There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. Let's talk about the closure that this burning of the ring and Gary's letter absolving them of these crimes, you know, how much of a sense of closure that they felt at that moment. So the mood shifts to one of peaceful acceptance. Sally and Jillian share a look of understanding. This chapter is finally closed. The weight that had loomed over them since Jimmy's death is gone, making way for new beginnings. So let's get into the color theory. So in the garden scene, it's broad daylight. The bright natural sunlight, it could signify clarity, truth, and freedom. The strong natural daylight in this scene represents a stark contrast to the dark, eerie lighting of the exorcism. Symbolically, sunlight is often associated with truth, clarity, and enlightenment. The fact that this moment happens in broad daylight visually confirms that Sally and Jillian are finally free. No more secrets, no more hiding. Sunlight also suggests renewal and a fresh start, reinforcing that their troubles are behind them. The warm golden tones from the bright day reflect a sense of comfort, relief, and triumph over the darkness. The Owen sisters have spent much of the movie haunted, both metaphorically and literally, and now the brightness of the day signifies that their burdens have lifted. Gold and yellow hues also symbolize personal power and transformation, making it the perfect backdrop for this moment of ultimate closure. So as far as the fire's orange and red tones, this could signify purification and finality. The fire burning the last of the brambles introduces oranges and reds and deep yellows, all colors associated with transformation, destruction, and renewal. These colors reinforce the idea of purging the past, destroying the last remnants of Jimmy's energy. When Jillian throws Jimmy's skull ring into the fire, the burst of flames represent the final severance of his presence, leaving nothing behind. But I mean, like, I don't know, does whatever this ring is made of, like metal, it'll probably tarnish, but it's not gonna like burn it like it's not gonna turn it, right? It's not gonna turn to ash. Like, it's still there.
That fire is nowhere near hot enough to melt that thing.
Right. So I'm wondering, like, what really ended up happening to that ring. Like, it's just gonna sit there. It's gonna sit there. They should have thrown it into the water along with the syrup, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Okay, so the lush greenery of the garden symbolizes growth and healing. The vibrant green tones serve as a symbol of renewal, rebirth, and moving forward. The contrast between the burning brambles and the thriving garden represents the end of a dark chapter and the beginning of something new. Green also represents balance and harmony, reinforcing that Sally and Jillian can finally move forward without fear. And then the blue sky. So this signifies freedom and a new beginning. The clear blue sky above serves as a visual metaphor for open possibilities, freedom, and peace. Unlike the deep, ominous blue tones used in the exorcism scene, which represented the supernatural and danger, this natural blue is soft, expansive, and reassuring. It signals that the storm has passed. There's no longer a shadow looming over their lives. Yeah, it's like the last half of the movie, it was pretty overcast the entire time. Like, if you think about it, from the moment that the frog burped up the ring, because that was a bright sunny day, right? There was kind of an illusion of that familial moment that Sally was having with Gary and doing the pancakes with the girls. And then once that frog burped up the ring and Gary was like, you guys get a lawyer, I'm out of here. From that point on, it was kind of overcast, right?
Yeah.
So this is the first time we're really seeing the sun since that breakfast moment. And then just some final thoughts on this one scene. So this scene's daylight setting is crucial to its emotional impact. The bright sun, the vibrant greens, and the warm fire all work together to create an atmosphere of relief, resolution, and transformation. Unlike the eerie, intense lighting of earlier scenes, the natural brightness here symbolizes clarity and freedom, confirming that Sally and Jillian are no longer trapped by the past. The destruction of Jimmy's last remnants, aka his ring, in the fire marks the true ending of his influence, allowing the sisters to finally embrace a future free from fear. Now, do you have any additional thoughts about that garden scene?
I just want it. I want the garden so bad. The fact that we get another shot of Jillian from behind walking to the house, walking through that gate is very interesting. When the last time we saw her do this, she was all in black as a child, just having lost somebody, and now walking through that gate in white as an adult, having lost somebody, but choosing to sever, that connection. It was her choice. Well, no, it was like she had to choose to live.
Yeah, I like that. I didn't even make that connection about, like, the last time we see her walking into the house, she's in the black, and now she's in the white. It's kind of like definitely shows her character arc, like she started in this really, really dark place through her whole entire life, kind of confused, always on the run, running from her problems. And then at the end in the white, she's in this place of self-acceptance finally. And I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah. And then later on, we see her back in the garden in her very neutral colors, which we'll get to shortly. But
again, very conservative, right? Like the stuff she wears in the garden.
Yes. She is the aunt now.
So she's made a complete 180. Yeah.
We get a
Yeah.
kind of like transition scene here, a little bit of time. Sally's up on the rooftop and it's at twilight. She's ready to let go of her leaf. She's outside beneath this dreamy pink and purple twilight, holding that single brown autumn leaf in her hand. The moment is filled with quiet reflection, filled with Stevie Nicks in the background, right?
Yeah.
Signaling this is the end of her journey, question mark? Through fear, at least, and secrecy, in the beginning of the new chapter of her life. She's standing against this silhouetted sky. Soft pastels of the twilight frame her figure, creating an ethereal, almost magical moment. Again, her magic is being done in this blue tone. She's no longer burdened by the weight of Jimmy Angelov and the town's judgment or her family's tragic history. This is the moment of peace and acceptance. And the leaf then floats up toward the moon as Sally gently releases it, allowing to drift upward. This too is silhouetted against the sky. And the leaf's movement toward the moon mirrors that earlier moment from her childhood, creating that powerful visual bookend to her story, right? So let's compare the Amasvedita scene with, this adult scene. In the beginning of the film, that young Sally performs the Amasvedita spell to summon an impossible love, scattering flower petals into the wind, which rise toward the moon. That moment was innocent and hopeful, yet rooted in pain. Sally casts a spell to protect herself from heartbreak, believing that if true love could never exist, she would never suffer loss. Now, as an adult, her leaf release mirrors that childhood spell, but instead of fear-driven magic, it's a moment of acceptance, growth, and real love. She's allowing herself to long to love again, and I love that. The child Sally released petals in an act of longing and control. The adult Sally releases a leaf in an act of surrender and trust. The early scene where Sally releases flower petals is bathed in the soft pale blues and the silvery moonlight. The symbolism of this blue is innocence, dreams, and longing. It also has that melancholy quality. Sally is casting a spell out of fear and love rather than embracing it. The cool nighttime lighting gives the scene a mystical, otherworldly feel, reinforcing childlike wonder and the fantasy of magic. As far as the final leaf release scene, it has a little bit of a warmer pink and purples in the sunset's glow. The end scene takes place in that twilight with a pink and purple sky, dramatically different from the cold blues of the Amasvedita scene. And the symbolism behind the pink and purple, the pink representing love, self-acceptance, emotional warmth. Purple is the color of transformation and wisdom. Unlike the earlier scene, which was about yearning and isolation, the leaf release is about embracing love, destiny, and moving forward. The symbolism behind the moon in both scenes, both of these moments, Sally is sending something into the sky toward the moon, reinforcing a theme of trusting fate. As a child, she sent petals to summon the love that could never exist, and as an adult, she sends a leaf as a symbol of letting go, no longer trying to control fate. The moon remains as a constant in both scenes, acting as a guiding force, but Sally's relationship with magic and destiny has changed here. And the final thought on this is the visual parallels between these two moments make the ending of Practical Magic deeply satisfying. The film starts when Sally is trying to escape that love, and it ends with her embracing it, both in the romantic sense with Gary and in terms of self-acceptance and trust in her magic.
I love how that's like bookended,
Mm.
and how much like how this is Sally's arc now. Like we talked about Jillian's arc before. Like this is Sally's arc now, like going from that fearful place of trying to control her destiny and her fate to now the release is more of an acceptance, and that really shows her growth and how we all like grown from something that we've experienced as a kid or as a child or even as a teenager and going into adulthood and experiencing that arc and really, looking back and recognizing your growth. I think that is so cool to be able to grow like that.
The scene is like epitomizing healing your inner child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think I did my office to heal my inner child. That's why everything's pink.
Pink everywhere, please. Yeah.
Pink everywhere. It's nice to have a place to go to escape to kind of like connect with your inner child. And have you ever done that practice? I've heard some people do this. They write a letter to their childhood self. Like, what would you tell your childhood self? Right?
I haven't done that.
I haven't done it either, but I've heard people like do that as a practice to like heal that child part of themselves, and I think that's really cool.
I try to keep a picture of my younger self near my mirror when I get ready in the morning because like we are so mean to ourselves as adults. So I try to remember to take care of that little girl, and it doesn't always work. But the last like couple nights I've been having such a terrible time sleeping, whether it's anxiety over the world. We'll just say the world right now. I try to talk to myself as, okay, Kristina, like little Kristina, I'm trying to hold very gently and give myself what I needed when I was a kid that I did not get. And it
Yeah.
tends to help calm down a little bit. But I mean, this is such a like mirror moment. It's just depicted really in a really pretty way.
Yeah, I love it. And the coloring, right? Like we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about color theory, the colors are beautiful. Like
Mm-hmm.
that twilight sky, my God.
I
I just
know.
want to eat it like it's like bubble gum, those pink clouds,
Cotton candy.
cotton candy, right? It just melts in your mouth. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving along. Beautiful. That's probably one of my favorite scenes in the film when she releases that leaf at the end in that beautiful sky. But then soon after she releases that leaf, we see Gary's perspective, right? And he's kind of like, in this moment, he's shown bathed in this like fiery orange red glow. Like, is he sitting around by a campfire? Is
That's
he
what
camping?
I always thought. Is he
Like,
outside?
where is he? Like, so he's looking upward as if he senses that this leaf is drifting toward him, the one that Sally releases. And the film, it doesn't show his surroundings or even what he's looking at. It's kind of implied that he sees this leaf coming at him, right? But we only see his face and his reaction, and those are the only things that are really emphasized in this scene.
Yeah.
But there's this deliberate use of warm and fiery lighting that carries this deep symbolic meaning in the context of the film's themes. So first of all, the fiery orange and the red glow signifies passion, fate, and transformation. The warm, almost burning glow surrounding Gary contrasts the soft purples and pinks of Sally's scene. So the symbolism of red and orange. Red represents passion, fate, and love, and his reaction suggests that he feels a deep magnetic pull towards Sally, even across distance. The orange is often associated with change, movement, and destiny. In this case, it represents the inevitability of their connection and a feeling of warmth that mirrors Sally's emotional transformation. And the intensity of the glow suggests that something powerful is awakening in him. He is feeling, not just seeing now. The absence of context, like why do we only see Gary? Why don't we not see the leaf, what he's looking at, where he is, the setting, right? We don't even see where he is. There's no context of the scene. So, and I always thought that was like, where the fuck is he?
We can see his watch, which reads about 7 o'clock. And he has a book on his chest, which who knows what he's reading? Is he reading Louis L'Amour?
Oh, yeah, good point. I didn't even realize he was reading. That's interesting that you could see what time it is. So that if he's in Arizona, that would put him 3 hours behind the East Coast, right? So it's probably like about 10 o'clock. But I mean, if you think about it, she released the leaf at twilight, and it could have taken 3 hours to get to him, right?
I don't know. Tell me about, why don't we see any context for his scene?
This could mean a more mystical, intuitive connection. So the lack of a visible background makes it feel as though Gary exists in a liminal, undefined space, reinforcing the idea that this moment is more emotional and intuitive than literal. By not showing the leaf itself, the scene becomes less about external action and more about internal realization. It suggests that Gary's connection to Sally is not just physical, but spiritual. He senses her presence, her magic, and her emotions, right? It's like nothing even warranted him to look up into the sky. Like, how did he know it was coming at him, you know?
Not just up, he has to like crane his neck around. He fully turns his body to look at this thing.
Right.
This call.
Yeah. It was so silent, right? It's not like he heard it coming. He felt its presence and he felt Sally's pull to him once again.
Maybe it's the soundtrack in his brain and he can hear Stevie Nicks calling him.
I like how we just gave him this brain soundtrack. Like
his own magic power.
He hears the cues, right?
Yeah. Always hits his mark.
Yeah. So let's talk about the fire as a symbol of fate and soulmates. And again, we don't see any fire around him, but it could be implied through this golden glow that we see illuminating his face. So throughout the film, fire represents destruction, transformation, and passion. Jimmy was consumed by fire, both literally and metaphorically.
Like the ring getting thrown in the fire and he's probably in hell.
And he's probably in hell. Yeah, that too. Sally burned his final remains to erase the past, yes. And now fire appears again, but in a different way. Instead of destruction, it represents destiny and the kindling of true love. The orange-red glow on Gary's face suggests that he is embracing his fate rather than fighting it. And the scene implies that he doesn't just think about Sally, he feels her presence as they are cosmically linked. Some final thoughts. This fiery glow glow on Gary's face connects him to Sally's world even though they are not physically together in this moment. The leaf symbolizes her release, and Gary's reaction shows that he is open to receiving her energy and love. The contrast between the twilight purples of Sally's scene and the fiery oranges of Gary's scene reinforces that they are opposites that complete each other: cool and warm, moon and fire, past and future. So the lack of visible background emphasizes that this is a moment of deep intuition rather than external reality. It suggests that their love is inevitable, powerful, and beyond logic, something guided by magic, fate, and the universe itself. The fiery orange-red glow could also strongly suggest that Gary is back in Arizon-yaaaaa, as those warm, sun-drenched hues are often associated with the desert landscape. So let's talk about Arizona symbolism through color. The deep oranges and reds resemble the golden hour glow of the Arizona desert, particularly around sunset, when the sky and land radiates with fiery hues. This would subtly reinforce that he is still physically distant from Sally, but emotionally connected. So Sally is bathed in cool purples and soft pinks, colors that evoke the misty, romantic atmosphere of New England. And Gary's scene, in contrast, is drenched in earthy reds and oranges, evoking Arizona's warmth, ruggedness, and expansive desert sky. And we kind of see that too in Jillian's scene when she's on that the astral projection car ride, right?
Yeah, all the colors, so pretty.
All those beautiful desert landscape colors. So this visual contrast reminds us of their physical separation, but also suggests their eventual reunion. He's on his way to her. And so like she summoned him with the leaf. He's like, all right, I gotta go now. I gotta go see her now. She's calling me. So the desert is also a symbol of fate and destiny. The desert is often portrayed as a place of mystical revelation and personal transformation. If Gary is back in Arizona, which we think he is, his reaction to the unseen leaf suggests that he is experiencing an intuitive moment. He just knows that something is pulling him back to Sally, even if he doesn't fully understand it yet. The desert's warmth and vastness could mirror his internal journey toward love, trust, and acceptance of the supernatural elements of Sally's world. Do you think the leaf is like this visual bridge between two worlds, kind of connecting them both?
Oh, yeah. We don't see it though. We see it go. It's like sending your prayers, your manifestations, your intentions out into the universe. You don't know where they're going to land. You never see it after. You just see the, not ramifications, but
payoff?
The payoff. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. And by using color as a storytelling tool, the film subtly reminds us of their distance while foreshadowing their inevitable reunion. The leaf may have been released in New England, but its energy, or Sally's energy, reaches Gary no matter how far away he is.
Yeah.
Right?
In the book, we know that there's like a little portion of which Alice chooses to say, little did like Sally know that Jillian called him up, basically is like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, come get your woman, kind of thing. She's like, get over here. So I think that's really sweet. You have been out in the Southwest, like the desert changes you. It's very spiritual. And I could see how that would have affected Jillian's life and Sally, maybe never have been able to visit her sister because she was always moving around, never got to experience that.
Right.
But Gary brings that to her, in this way.
Yeah. I wish when I went to Arizona, I was like 24. I mean, I was an adult, but I was still pretty young. Like and I went with my parents because like my dad went on a business trip and he's like me and my mom, he wanted us to come out just to get a little getaway. And it was nice, but like I was with my parents, so I felt like a kind of like a third wheel. It was beautiful, but I feel like I would maybe appreciate it more as an adult if I could go to experience the more spiritual aspect, because like at that time I wasn't really in my spiritual realm. I was still young. I was like still like, I liked to travel, but I was there for maybe the wrong reasons or just to travel. I wasn't really there for the spirituality of it. But I think if I went back now, I would try to see it through more of a spiritual lens. But I did hear a lot when I was out there that there's like this vortex out. Have you heard of the vortexes out there? I went to Sedona in Arizona. And apparently there's a vortex out there where it's like the center for like spiritual healing. And like, I remember hearing all about it when I was there and I was like, what is this vortex? Like, what does that mean? Like, I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
But so I would love to go back as an adult and like really experience the more spiritual side of Arizona in the desert.
When we went, it was kind of rainy and we hiked around like the red rocks and stuff like that. And it was like kind of slippery. We didn't really stop anywhere, but there was a woman I followed when I first moved out to California. She lived in Sedona. She would always talk about like, here's what the moon's doing. And that was like my first little tiptoe into following like the moon phases and learning about the Wheel of the Year. I was like, what is this Ostara shit?
Yeah.
And she was in Sedona and I had put that on my bucket list. I was like, I want to get there someday. We were only there for like a day.
Yeah.
Because we were staying in Flagstaff, but I too was not in like I'm here to connect spiritually. I was there to go hiking, you know?
Right, yeah. Sedona is gorgeous, gorgeous. Probably one of the prettiest places I've been.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, like, if you're a night owl like me, everything closes by 7 p.m. And I was like, what?
That's not your city.
Can't even get a hamburger at a diner at 8 o'clock? Like, what? What is this? Bring me back to Jersey.
Arizona. That's funny.
Yeah, Flagstaff is up in the mountains. Was it cold when you went there?
It was snowing. Yeah, we got to go like sledding and stuff, and it was pretty.
One other thing that I want to mention when I went out there was Jerome, Arizona.
Jerome.
Cool, artsy. Like it's like it's not too far from Sedona. It's maybe, I don't know, 20-30 minutes up the mountain.
Okay.
And it's this like old coal mining town in the mountains. And like you have to drive this like little teeny tiny curvy road to get up there, and like other cars are coming the other direction, and like you're both squished on the same fucking road, and there's no guardrail.
I don't
Like
them.
it's horrifying. And in the rain, mind you. So I'm like in the back
like
seat
that.
and my dad's driving the car and I'm like just holding on for dear life.
Oh.
Like once you get up there, it's beautiful. It's like this old coal mining town. There's so much history there. And apparently it's the most haunted place in I guess Arizona, one of the most haunted places.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oogie.
It was so cool. There's tons of art galleries there, little cafes and shops. And Michelle Branch is actually from Sedona, Arizona. And her entire second album, the first one that she released on a major label, called The Spirit Room, it's named after a bar up there that I was able to take a picture in front of. Her grandmother or great grandmother used to read fortunes at that bar.
That is cool.
Isn't that fucking badass?
That is cool. You should have got her to sign that picture. Did you meet her? No, you met somebody else.
I never met her like at a signing or anything. I put up my album to her when I was at a concert in New York. It was at the Bowery Ballroom, and she reached down and she grabbed it and she signed it for me, but I never got to actually meet her.
Got it.
Yeah, but she's always been like, she's from Sedona, and I was like, oh, my dad was like, oh, you want to go to Sedona? I'm like, oh, Michelle Branch is from there. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. It wasn't even a question. I was just like, Michelle Branch land. I have to go see
Michelle Branch land.
I even like looked up her name in the phone, her family's name in the phone book.
Oh my God.
This was 2008, so phone books were still a thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I found her family's like address and name in the phone book, but I was like, okay, this is like bordering stalker territory. I just wanted to see, but we never went to like go buy it or visit or anything.
Like, I would not judge you. I wouldn't have. I think I'd be like, that's her dad's house.
And then like we were driving around in the car, and her music, like the radio stations out there would probably play her music because she's a native to there, you know. But like some of her songs came on the radio when we were there, and I was like, this is so meta. Like, you know, it was so cool.
It's like going to Alaska and hearing Jewel.
Right. Yeah. But
let's go into this garden scene, this kiss. Goddamn, he looks good in this scene. He's at the time watching this as a younger girl, not attractive. As like a grown woman, I'm like, that's a handsome man. He's handsome in this scene. And it's very Mr. Darcy. He's like walking, you know, across, and they meet each other. But the fact that they could have ended this whole movie here in the safety of the bright sunlight, but chose not to, is impeccable. I think that was such a good choice. We talked about, and I think part one, them choosing to embrace the darkness, and they're put back into the dark clothes in that scene. So this is that pivotal moment marking the culmination of their connection and the fulfillment of Sally's childhood love spell, Amas Veritas. The colors used in this scene play a significant role in conveying the themes of love, fate, and seasonal transitions. We have those warm earthly tones, and this is the love rooted in reality. Dominant tones in this scene are warm golden sunlight, earthy greens, deep reds, and rustic browns from the garden's bounty. These colors create a natural, organic feel, reinforcing that Sally and Gary's love is grounded, real, and meant to be. Unlike the ethereal, cool blues of the Amas Veritas love scene, this moment is not about an impossible, dreamy love. It is about a love that has arrived in the here and now.
A practical love.
Exactly.
Practical magic.
It also indicates some changing of the seasons, the passage of time and transformation. The aunts and Jillian are harvesting their vegetables. They're in longer sleeves, suggesting that the seasons have shifted toward autumn. And behind these autumn colors, we have the deep reds and oranges, hinting that fall is coming, often associated with letting go of the past, transformation, preparing for new beginnings, that dying off of the old ideals, old mentalities. The rich greens of the garden still show life and growth, but we see signs that things are ripening, reaching their peak before the cycle renews. And this aligns with Sally's emotional journey. She has to let go of the fear, allow love into her life, and now she's stepping into her fate. We have this magic moment interplay between the sunlight and shadows. The garden is bathed in warm golden light, adding to the intimate glowing ambiance of the kiss. The golden light symbolizes, it has that soft diffuse sunlight, giving the moment a dreamlike faded quality, making it feel like the universe itself is illuminated by their love. And she's also coming out of the woods like some nymph, like just hanging in the woods with Maria in her cabin.
Yeah. Did I see this on the commentary? I could be wrong. She comes out of the woods wearing that beautiful freaking dress, but she's wearing like Ugg boots.
Yes. I don't know where we heard that. I have heard that also.
Did we see that somewhere?
So
or am I making that up?
It might have been in a shot. It was probably like a B camera roll shot in the commentary. Okay. She has got Ugg boots on. I'm like, yes.
Yo, it must have been cold while they were filming that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To keep her feet warm with boots. Ugg boots.
It contrasts the darker, stormier, and more ominous tones used earlier in the film, especially in the Jimmy Angela storyline, signifying that this moment is one of peace, warmth, and happiness. The subtle shadows cast by the golden foliage adds a touch of that mystery and magic, reinforcing the connection between love and nature. In the garden, as far as the setting, it's important for this setting because it represents a place of healing, nourishment, and magic. They definitely use that garden for all of these things. Sally has spent much of the film hiding from love, but in the garden, a space full of life, growth, and transformation, she allows herself to be open. And to touch on this, we don't see her in the garden between when she is digging before she meets Michael to now. Well, when she's burning the brambles, she's not in the garden. She's having Antonia go get her things,
That's right,
go to the garden, get mint. Because like putting that distance between her and her magic.
Yeah. Do you think she had like kind of like a PTSD of working in the garden? Because you're right. That was the last time we see her digging in the garden. And that whole I guess stretch when she was with Michael up until he died. I'm wondering if she was still working in the garden, and like then she realized the aunts were betraying her. Mm-hmm. And then she was probably like, well, last time I worked in the garden, I got fucked over by the aunts, so I think I'm gonna stay away from the garden for now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, the garden, it ties into the film's larger theme of embracing one's true self and accepting love, magic, and destiny. And it also represents that love has bloomed. The color and nature work together here in this scene to symbolize the transition from longing to fulfillment. The warm autumn hues, soft golden light, and lush green setting reinforce that Sally and Gary's love is not just fate. It's real, tangible, and ready to thrive. It's practical. The changing of seasons reminds us that life moves forward. With it comes renewal, growth, and new beginnings. And as the film heads into Halloween, Samhain, a time of transformation and magic, this scene serves as the final moments of romantic and emotional harvest. Sally is finally receiving the love she once wished for.
I know we didn't really talk too much about the color wheel and placements of certain colors throughout these past 2 episodes, but looking at the slides above of this garden scene, what stands out to me is the rusts of what Franny's wearing and Nicole's red hair, along with Gary's blue shirt and the kind of the orangey tones of his skin. Is very like secondary colors, right? Or complementary colors, like the orange and the blue. Those are complementary, right?
I don't know.
Right?
Oh, we're saying orange. Okay, yes, it's more orange. Yes.
So orange and the blue together
complement,
cross each other on the color wheel, so they're more complementary.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if that was like an intentional thing for this scene, and I didn't notice it in any other scenes really, except for maybe the one where the rose petals are on the grass when Sally's cutting things down, because like red and green are also complementary colors. So I'm wondering how conscious they were of actually using a color wheel throughout.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a color wheel hung in my studio here, so I'm gonna look one up, because like do orange, green, orange, and purple would be like the triad. And like a
What do they? Yeah, they call it
tertiary.
triad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
So that's what I was looking into because we have the green. It's so lush. It's so
Yeah.
lush there.
Yeah, that was like the one thing that popped out at me when I was looking at these slides. I was like, wow, there's a lot of blues and oranges going on here.
So it says orange is secondary, violet is secondary, and green is a secondary.
Mhm.
Yeah, red,
Mhm.
yellow, blue are the primary, and then everything in between.
And then orange and the blue are the complementary.
Yes, they're across from each other, like sister signs.
Yeah, they're like Sag and Gemini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, we're gonna have a very good astrological year.
Are
Like
we?
it's like our time to shine.
Us. Me and you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sag
Okay.
and Gemini.
All right.
Watch out.
All right. Hopefully we can rise above this 2025 bullshit.
Oh, we
because-
will. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. We'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. We're anchoring the light, right? We're gonna anchor the light and
I like that.
not use our energy on so much of the bullshit.
Anchor
I mean,
the light.
I think it's important to be informed and be aware, but not be swallowed up by it, because it can get very dark very fast and very overwhelming. But just stay informed, stay in the know, but then kind of retreat back and process.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so we have one more scene to get through here, and this is our favorite finale, the Halloween rooftop jump scene. So the final scene of Practical Magic is visually striking and emotionally significant. It serves as a moment of freedom, acceptance, and rebirth as the Owens women, dressed as witches, embrace their magic openly for the first time. The color choices in this scene reinforce the themes of transformation, community, and the power of belief. Yeah, they also wore the striped socks, which was a nod to the Wizard of Oz, right? The red and white striped socks.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, they have these bold black costumes, which they for the first time they're embracing the witch identity. Maybe it is a little stereotypical witch, but you know it's a rom-com. They
If
gotta
you're
play
gonna do a thing,
right.
do
Yeah.
the thing.
Exactly. So the Owens women wear long black dresses and witch hats, fully stepping into the identity they once hid from or feared. So what is the symbolism of the black color in this scene? So this is the color of mystery, power, and protection. The Owens family has been ostracized for their magic, but now they wear it proudly, without fear. Black also represents transformation and rebirth, making it the perfect color to wear as they shed the weight of the curse and embrace a new beginning. And instead of appearing ominous or dark, the black attire is actually joyful and celebratory, a reclaiming of power rather than a mark of exile. And like you said, when the girls were walking into the aunt's house as children, they're wearing those black coats. In the beginning, they kind of represented that grief, that dark time of their lives, and now bookending the film with more black attire, but now this time it's more uplifting and it's a reclaiming of their power, which I think is really cool.
And the face that Jillian gives is like, we're fucking doing this. Like, they're very firm in their power here for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And she does that little smug, like little shimmy, shoulder shimmy, right?
Check this out.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, "Are you ready to fuck shit up?" Sally's like, "I'm ready to fuck shit up."
Yeah, yeah.
So they jump and they fuck shit up. So the deep blue sky, let's talk about that. The mystery, the magic, the supernatural. It's this rich, almost electric blue. The night sky is a deliberate choice that enhances the film's magical, otherworldly atmosphere. Blue is the color of the subconscious, dreams, intuition, perfect for a scene where the Owens women fully embrace their magical nature. It's also linked to fate and destiny, reinforcing that they have finally stepped into their power and their truth. And the shade of blue used here is not a natural inky black night sky. It's vivid and saturated, almost like the enchanted midnight of a fairy tale. And the contrast between the deep blue sky and the warm-toned village below. The town square, decorated for Halloween, is illuminated by warm golden and orange hues. Were there pumpkins in this scene? I don't even remember.
I think there were in the windows.
Okay. Yeah, so orange hues from pumpkins, lanterns, and house lights. We see some of the lighting from the inside of the house illuminating to the outside. Looks very cozy, right? This contrast between warm and cool tones serves a dual purpose. The town represents the human, grounded world, a place of home, community, and tradition. And the rooftop and the blue night sky represent magic and flight, the supernatural world of the Owens women who are finally stepping into their power without fear. And if you think about them on the rooftop, they're kind of like ascending to their higher sense of self. Like if you think of the crown chakra, right, and the third eye, they're sitting in those blue indigo areas. So the fact that they're up on top of a roof at the end of the film, it's like they have reached that ultimate attainment of like a witch's purpose, a witch's arc, right?
I like that.
They've arrived.
We've arrived. Are we better than
arrived.
everyone else? I like
Yeah.
how the sky is very similar. It's pinky and purpley,
Yeah.
kind of like when she released the leaf. It's a very similar night sky.
So the warm autumnal color palettes is a full circle moment. The scene takes place on Halloween, also known as Samhain, a time of transformation, magic, and honoring the past while stepping into the future. The town is decorated with pumpkins, leaves, and warm-toned seasonal decor, reinforcing the feeling of community and celebration. Deep oranges, rustic browns, and golden hues dominate the environment, mirroring the change of season and symbolizing the completion of a cycle. Just as nature lets go of the old to make way for the new, so did the Owens women. A sense of warmth, belonging, and homecoming. The town, once wary of the Owens family, now gathers to witness and cheer them on, which I love
They
that.
sure do.
Yeah. I love that they finally have the support of their community.
Are they like, are we gonna have to do this every fucking year?
Yeah.
Come here every year.
They made it a tradition without really
Yeah.
wanting to, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they feel obligated to do it every year.
Yeah.
And the aunts are just over it. They're like, "Ugh, can we
We
just
can't even
not?"
get up these goddamn stairs.
So the actual act of the jumping, this represents flight, freedom, and letting go. As the Owens women hold hands and leap from the roof, their black dresses flow, creating the illusion of flying, or of floating rather, right? They've just floated down so gracefully. And this imagery symbolizes a leap of faith into joy, into magic, and into belief. And visually, the contrast of their dark clothing against the bright sky emphasizes the feeling of weightlessness and release. And then Sally's voiceover and the final color shift of the film kind of ties it all together. As Sally delivers her monologue about choosing to believe in love, magic, and freedom from the curse, the scene is bathed in a soft, warm, natural light. Unlike the moody blues and supernatural tones of earlier magical moments, this one feels earthy and real, magic fully integrated into everyday life. There's a shift to a grounded, autumnal palette, which signals that magic is no longer something hidden or feared, but something natural and embraced. And even celebrated at the end, right? Everybody's like cheering them on. So the Owens women visually blend into the mystical deep blue night, reinforcing that they are no longer outcasts, but in harmony with their magical heritage. Black absorbs color rather than reflecting it, symbolizing that they are fully absorbing and owning their power. Blue is also associated with trust and faith. They are taking a literal and figurative leap of faith into freedom, acceptance, and joy. And unlike the cooler and more oppressive blue lighting used during the exorcism scene, here the blue feels open, inviting, and full of possibility. And then let's talk about the moon and the feminine connection. Though the moon is not always directly in frame, its influence is felt. The cool ethereal blue night is reminiscent of moonlight, a strong symbol of feminine power and intuition. And the Owens women, as witches, are intrinsically connected to the moon cycles. And this final moment under the moonlit blue sky signifies a rebirth, a full circle transformation. The contrast with the warm golden glow of the town below reinforces that magic and the mundane can now coexist in harmony. It's dreamlike and uplifting, almost like a storybook ending, making it one of the most visually iconic moments in the film and one of the most memorable moments in witchy pop culture film history. Ultimately, the final scene's color palette contrasts the darkness of past struggles, cementing the Owens women's freedom, acceptance, and new beginning. And then we have the finale kiss that kind of seals the deal on all of it, and the rest is history.
I love that Gary gives little Antonia, he picks her up and gives her a little kiss, like, you did such a good job.
Yeah.
And the shot of the whole town from above, and then we see it a little closer up when they land, that they're holding candles or like lanterns, like, we have come to hold the light for you too.
Yeah.
You know, you've held our well-being, at least for the women. You've done what we've asked, even if we were not grateful at the time, but let us hold the light for you, a way to guide you down as you float down and let go.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what I noticed in the scene? There's a little boy dressed up as a bumblebee.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna say the little right before Sally and Jillian, Gary and Sally kiss. There's like a little skeleton boy like giving the side eye right between them. Look at that shot. You see it?
It's cute. Oh my god.
Yeah, the little bumblebee, so cute. We did a B episode, right?
We
Yeah, we
did, yeah. I'm surprised we this one snuck right past us. We didn't include that in our Bumblebee episode. I feel like a lot of the movie is kind of like sitting in this ethereal, dreamy blue light. A lot of the film, right?
in what you were saying about the moon, yeah, we don't really see it in the shot, but and it's also Hollywood lighting, but the light being cast onto the house is like blue as well,
Mhm.
but you're seeing the shadows. So that means that the moon has to be somewhere behind where everybody's standing to cast some kind of glow on the house.
Right.
But it's so beautiful. I just love it so much.
Yeah, I feel like we're definitely gonna have to do a moon spotting episode. Remember we talked about that?
I'm I'm gonna let you take the reins on that. Yeah,
Real
because it's
okay.
interesting. We see it quite a few times
Yeah.
in different phases, and
Yeah.
we have the year, we have a month. So let's
Mhm.
talk about like what the signs were doing that day.
Yeah, yeah, I think that'll be an interesting episode. That one's gonna take some time probably to line everything up and like figure
Yeah.
out, the math on where the moon was during that year,
Yeah.
realistically anyway.
Sure.
And then kind of figure out if it's realistic the way the moon kind of moved over the course of the entire movie.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I know we did a little bit of that in our whatever when we were talking about the Jersey Turnpike.
oh yeah, the Blood on the Moon episode. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. It was only like specifically when there was the blood on the moon. I don't know if we really talked about the moon over the course of the entirety of the film. So I think it might be interesting to dive back down the moon rabbit hole a little bit. If you guys do want to support the podcast on Patreon, you can support us for as little as $1 a month. That's our seedling tier, and that gets you access to our patron-only polls where you get to weigh in on what topics you would like us to talk about next. It also gets you our monthly calendar so you can see what topics we have coming up for the month, and it also gets you a welcome shout out on the show. Our $3 Lavender Bud tier gets you our show notes for each episode in an aesthetically pleasing PDF, our after hours posts, if there's any extra tidbits or behind the scenes info pertaining to any of our episodes, we'll post those along with a blog post or extra photos, and access to our specially curated Spotify playlists. We have created playlists for our WMSR episodes as well as Production Dream playlists for each song episode, and more. Our $5 Lilac tier gets you access to our private Facebook community where we host a monthly live stream. Plus, you'll get access to our Discord server where we host our monthly watch parties. And also on the Discord, you can join in on the discussion with other Magnolia Street neighbors via the various interesting channels and threads. And then here's the $8 Rose tier. This gets you access to extra audio visual content such as a once a month full-length video episode, unlimited bonus videos, uncut footage, cutting room floor footage, bloopers, outtakes, meditations, exclusive interviews, and old home videos from the vault, or spell or ritual videos, and more. It also gets you bonus content to coincide with our song-episodes, such as full-length demo streams of our original Practical Magic inspired music, plus lyric sheets, guitar chords, and original scratch demos, or bonus video performances of our songs and more. Lastly, we have our $15 Wisteria Vine tier. Just like a twisting Wisteria Vine, there's a way for you to stay connected with us, the Stinas. In this tier, we invite you to join our private Marco Polo video messaging app. The app is totally free for both Android and iOS. Sign up with your phone number or email, and we will help you do the rest. This is a great way to chat with each other in a more intimate group setting, face-to-face via video recording. We love to show each other our pets, our gardens, or anything else you'd like to share. And just a reminder that the higher the tier you sign up under, the more rewards you get, because you get all of the rewards of the tiers below it. You can upgrade or downgrade or even cancel at any time. So to support the podcast, head to patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast.
Yeah, and there are additional ways to support us and our podcast that don't cost you any money. If you do listen on Spotify, please give us a star rating. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a written review. We love sharing those on our Instagram. And if you're on Instagram, we would really appreciate any reposts or blurbs about our podcast. And make sure to tag us at Magnolia Street Podcast in your feed, posts, stories, and share us with your Practical Magic loving friends. Next week, we're doing Black Dogs because that came up. We haven't talked about that. And then we have a special guest after that. And if you're on our Patreon, you've already gotten the calendar for this month to know what's coming up. But please leave us a review on Spotify, give us some stars, and on Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a written review. We like to share those. Anything else?
I can't think off the top of my head. I feel like we've had some comments here and there on the Insta. We've been chit-chatting over on the Wisteria Vine.
This was such a
Yeah.
cool thing I've been wanting to do since the start.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. And both of us come from artsy fartsy backgrounds. So like I don't know if did you take any color theory
I did. I was looking for my
courses?
glasses so I could be like, we're so
Phyllis?
smart.
Yeah, I took a color theory course in art school, I think for a few years, and I had a lot of fun in that class because our teacher, Joan, RIP, she passed away like a year or two ago, recently. And when I took her class, she was old.
Oh
So I'm like,
God.
wow, this lady lived a long life, and that was 20 something years ago. She used to have us mix colors and do all our color theory in gouache, and we would mix all the colors and we would do it like a subtle gradient,
Yes.
starting from white to black, and then like kind of mixing the colors going from the tints to the shadows.
Yeah.
And I have a whole entire book packet of these color swatches that I've mixed with gouache from her class.
It's good to do.
And Avi makes fun of me to this day about my color theory. When I whip out my color theory,
Yeah. Oh, you're so smart.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to, RIP to Joan because she was
R.I.P.
awesome.
Joan.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gave you that little nugget of information to hang on to.
Yeah, and I remember my color wheel.
Yes, you do.
So, yeah. So that's it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's
Yes.
a lot, right? A lot.
I did.
Lots of info.
All right, man. I'll talk to you next week. Every Friday, new episodes. Hit us up, magnoliapodcast@gmail.com.
Magnolia Street Podcast.
What did I say?
You said Magnolia Podcast.
Oh, what she said. I'm Kristina.
Justina. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you